Chapter 70. Tang Zheng calmed his heart and asked, "Can you tell me about Nana's condition?" Mu Hongyan was originally in despair, but this sentence seemed to give her a glimmer of hope. She did not care about being sad and hurriedly said, "Nana has been weak and sickly since birth. Her body temperature is not high, and as she grows older, her body temperature is getting lower and lower. A while ago, it directly became ice cold. In addition, every once in a while, she will have an attack." "What are the symptoms of the attack?" "After the attack, she will fall asleep. At first, she will fall asleep for a day, then 2 days, 3 days, and now she has been asleep for almost a week. The doctor said that the next attack may cause her to fall asleep and never wake up again." Mu Hongyan said in pain. "Nana does not like to sleep at all," Nana said with a pout. Nana does not need to be afraid of sleeping now. Nana is already better." Mu Hongyan hurriedly comforted. Nana beamed with joy and said, "That's right. After eating Brother Godly Doctor's pill, Nana will be better." Tang Zheng had never heard of this condition before. It sounded very strange, but he seemed to have found a reason. Because the longer he interacted with Nana, the clearer he felt the aura on her body. Evil Qi. How could an innocent and naive little girl possess evil aura? Her illness was most likely caused by this evil Qi. But he did not expect that this evil Qi came from the mother's womb. This meant that something must have happened when the mother was pregnant. "Senior Godly Doctor, you must have a way to save Nana, right?" Mu Hongyan asked nervously, afraid that Tang Zheng would give a negative answer. "I can give it a try, but I can't guarantee that it will succeed." Tang Zheng did not guarantee anything. This was the first time he had encountered this kind of situation, so he was not clear about the specific situation. "Senior, you can definitely do it. I believe in you. You are Nana's only hope, and also her last hope. I'll do my best, but I still want to ask you a question. Did anything strange happen when you were pregnant?" "Strange?" Mu Hongyan was confused. Obviously, I don't know what Tang Zheng is referring to. Just some strange things, or things that can't be explained by common sense. Hearing Senior's words, there is indeed something strange. When I was pregnant, I fainted outside for no reason. Later, the doctor deduced that it might be because of hypoglycemia, but I clearly don't have hypoglycemia. However, it never happened again, so I didn't think much about it." Mu Hongyan recalled for a long time and said, "How did you feel when you woke up?" "I don't feel anything special. I just feel a little cold. I thought it was because I caught a cold in the wind." Tang Zheng's heart moved. The evil energy most likely entered her body at that time, but it did not remain in her body. Instead, it passed into the baby's body. Seeing Tang Zheng suddenly ask about this matter, Mu Hongyan was not an idiot. She immediately thought of a possibility and cried out in alarm. "Senior is saying that Nana's illness is related to my fainting at that time?" "It should be." The pain on Mu Hongyan's face became more intense. It turned out that her daughter had suffered all these years because of her. This was something that any mother would feel incomparably pained to know. How could this be? Why did Nana have to suffer so much? Why wasn't I the one who suffered? Seeing that she had sunk into deep self-blame, Tang Zheng hurriedly advised, "This is not your fault." "No, it is my fault." Tang Zheng firmly shook his head and said, "This really is not your fault. Because that person wanted to harm Nana." "Harm Nana?" "But at that time, Nana was not even born yet. Why would someone want to harm her?" "I don't know about this, but the person who did this is not simple." Tang Zheng thoughtfully said, "This evil energy had entered the baby's body from the mother's body. This was not within the scope of martial arts, but rather a magic technique." "Little brat, you have some insight," Tian Chanzi suddenly said. "I have always had good insight, okay? Humph, I just praised you and you're so cocky. This little girl has been cursed by someone else." "Cursed? What kind of magic technique is that?" "This is a sinister and vicious magic technique. Normally, only evil people like the demon race would use it. The curse lasts for a long time and is very secretive. The caster deliberately wanted to use this method to torture this little girl to death." "So vicious." Tang Zheng looked at Nana's innocent and naive appearance, but she had been harmed by this kind of magic technique. He could not help but fly into a rage. The demon race has many more vicious magic techniques. You will know when you see them in the future. Tian Chanzi said, not surprised. Then is there any way to get rid of this curse? Tang Jun quickly asked. The curse is not so easy to get rid of. If you don't pay attention, the person who has been cursed will die. I'm asking you if you have a way. I'm not asking you to be an alarmist here. What a joke. How can I not have a way? I'm telling you the danger of the curse. Then with my current strength, can I do it? Originally, you couldn't do it. But this time the caster's skill is not very good, so you can do it. Tang Jung breathed a sigh of relief. His previous decision was to help Nana. This little girl was too lovable. He did not want her to die in 10 years. After the curse is broken, her lifespan can be extended. That is natural. Moreover, she has already eaten the life-continuing pill. It will be a blessing in disguise. She will get more benefits than the average person. Tian Chanzi said, Senior, when will you treat Nana? What medical equipment do you need? I will arrange it for you. Mu Hongyan stopped blaming herself and asked impatiently, I don't need any other equipment. I just need a quiet environment. Is home okay? As long as it is not noisy. It will definitely not be noisy. Mu Hongyan promised, Senior, this time you saved our family's Nana. I don't know how to thank you. You already paid yesterday. All right, I almost forgot. Yesterday's payment was saved on this card. The password is the last 6 digits of the card. Mu Hongyan weighed the pros and cons for a long time today. In the end, she still deposited 500,000 into the card. Nana's life was priceless. If she only gave her 180,000, she would feel bad. So she deposited 500,000. This amount was not too much and not too little. It was just enough to express her gratitude. But after hearing Tang Zheng's words today, she had a new idea. Originally, Tang Zheng could have just taken the money and left. There was no need to mention the problem with Nana's body. But he did so and also promised to treat Nana. This made her feel even better about Tang Zheng. She respected him even more. She decided to go back and deposit 480,000 into the card to make up 1 million. Tang Zheng finally got the money and let out a sigh of relief. He really did not misjudge the person. Senior, when can we start the treatment? Mu Hongyan asked expectantly. Of course, the sooner the better. I also don't want to see Nana suffer. Tang Zheng said. These words undoubtedly touched Mu Hongyan's heart. She was overjoyed and said, Thank you, Senior. Can we do it tonight? Yes. Tang Zheng's time at night was very tight. These 2 days, he asked for leave from Lu Qingmei with great difficulty. If he asked for leave again, she would go crazy. Then let's go home. She paid the bill and then left the tea house in a hurry. She walked toward the parking lot. Nana seemed to like being with Tang Zheng very much. She always held Mu Hongyan in one hand and Tang Zheng in the other. In other people's eyes, they seemed to be a warm family, although this family's dressing and temperament did not match. Mu Hongyan's car was parked in the parking lot not far away. They just had to cross the road to get there. The green light turned green. The 3 of them walked on the sidewalk. At this time, it was already dark, so there were not many people. Suddenly, a car sped up but did not stop. Instead, it sped up and rushed toward the 3 of them. Ah! When other people saw this scene, they screamed. Tang Zheng discovered the danger and reacted almost instantly. His left hand grabbed Nana in his arms. His right hand grabbed Mu Hongyan's hand and quickly retreated. Bang! A gunshot rang out, causing Tang Zheng's heartstrings to fiercely tremble. He was far too sensitive to gunshots, so at the same time the gunshot rang out, he shouted and got down. He had already pushed Mu Hongyan and Nan under him. Gotcha! A window on the side of the street was shattered by a bullet. The crowd finally reacted and screamed. Tang Zheng turned his head and saw that the speeding car had stopped. A hand holding a gun stretched out. The black muzzle was aimed at Tang Zheng's direction. Bang, bang, bang. A series of gunshots rang out. If Tang Zheng was alone, he would have many ways to deal with it. But he had 2 people under him, one big and one small, so he did not dare to be negligent. He carried the 2 people and quickly retreated, almost brushing past the bullets as he hid behind a wall. The bullets chased after him, splashing dust on the ground. Are you guys okay? Tang Zheng looked down at the 2 people in his arms and asked anxiously. Nana is fine. Brother Miracle Doctor's arms are so warm and comfortable. Nana was not aware of the danger at all. Instead, she smiled contentedly. Mu Hongyan's face did not show any fear. Instead, it was angry. Yes, very angry. This gunman seems to be targeting us. Tang Zheng could clearly feel the other party's murderous aura. However, he did not know if this murderous aura was targeted at him or the mother and daughter pair. Although Tang Zheng did not know much about Mu Hongyan and her mother, but since they were able to make the Devil Clan attack them, it meant that the other party's identity was not ordinary. In any case, up until now, Tang Zheng had only met martial artists. He had never met anyone who knew magic. Therefore, he could not rule out the possibility that the gunman's target was the mother and daughter pair. The vengeful spirit won't disperse. That year he harmed Nana, and now he wants to harm us. Does he really think that us mother and daughter are at his mercy? Mu Hongyan was flustered and exasperated. She said with a red face. Chapter 71. When a woman was angry, she would be very scary. The more beautiful a woman was, the scarier she would be when she was angry. Mu Hongyan was an extremely beautiful woman, so she would be very scary when she was angry. Tang Zheng felt the murderous aura on her body and thought that she was a hidden master. He was looking forward to her making a move. But she did not make a move because she did not know martial arts. Not knowing martial arts did not mean that a person was not a threat. Mu Hongyan shouted into the dark night, "Catch him!" Tang Zheng heard a few sounds of something breaking through the air. Whoosh! That car shot out like an arrow from a bow. Then, a few more cars rushed out of the night and chased after it. Tang Zheng saw it clearly and immediately had a clearer understanding of Mu Hongyan's strength. She actually had bodyguards accompanying her, and more than one. Judging from their skills, they were all martial artists. People with such extravagance in ordinary balance were definitely not simple. Who is she? This question popped up in his mind, but he found that no matter how hard he thought, he could not find any answer. Since that was the case, he would not think about it. Senior, can you let go of me? Mu Hongyan calmed down and found that her position with Tang Zheng was very ambiguous. The two of them were tightly pressed together and could feel each other's body temperature. Tang Zheng could even feel the softness of her chest. It was so ecstatic. Tang Zheng quickly let go of her and explained awkwardly, "I was in a hurry just now, so I'm sorry." "It's okay. Senior, I'm really sorry that you were implicated and frightened this time. If you need a rest, we can treat you next time." "No need. Treatment is more important. These criminals are really too rampant. They dare to commit crimes openly on the street." "Yes, but this person can't run away. As long as we catch him, the truth will come to light." The two of them successfully got into Mu Hongyan's Volvo S80. This time, there were no gunmen. Tang Zheng and Nana sat together in the back row. Nana snuggled up to Tang Zheng with her small eyes slightly closed. She looked like she was enjoying herself. Mu Hongyan saw this scene from the rearview mirror and was secretly surprised. Why was Nana so clingy to him? It was as if he had a magical power, which was not like Nana's character. Nana was shy with strangers and would not be so close to strangers. However, she and Tang Zheng seemed to have a natural tacit understanding. The two of them did not have the strange feeling of having just met each other. Nana is able to get along well with Senior. This is also her opportunity. Mu Hongyan silently thought. She didn't say anything, giving this adult and child some space to interact. When they got out of the car at home, Nana was still holding Tang Zheng's hand reluctantly. In the end, the three of them went upstairs hand in hand. "Senior Godly Doctor, please come in," Mu Hongyan warmly greeted. "Brother Godly Doctor, quickly come and sit. Nana will give you a toy to play with," Nana said as she stuffed her doll into Tang Zheng's arms. Tang Zheng rubbed her head and said with a smile, "Nana is so obedient." Mother Wu saw that there were guests in the house and hurriedly came out to welcome them. She just happened to see this scene and was shocked beyond words. "Mother Wu, quickly boil some water and make tea for our guest," Mu Hongyan instructed. Mother Wu suspiciously entered the kitchen and looked back at Tang Zheng from time to time. However, when she saw Mu Hongyan's respectful attitude towards Tang Zheng, she couldn't help but guess where this person came from. Senior, please sit down and rest for a while. I'll go make tea for you. No need, we can start right away. No, Senior, why don't you rest for a while? With so many things happening tonight, it really gives me a headache. She lifted her hair and rubbed her temples, looking extremely flirtatious. Nana's father isn't home? Tang Jung looked around and didn't find any trace of a man, so he casually asked. Mu Hongyin's face darkened as she said, He passed away a few years ago. I'm sorry. Tang Jung quickly apologized. It's already in the past. Senior, you don't need to worry about it. Mu Hongyin entered the kitchen and made a cup of tea for Tang Jung and respectfully brought it out. This scene made Mother Wu's jaw drop. She had never seen Mu Hongyin be so respectful to anyone. She couldn't help but be curious about Tang Jung. Just what kind of divine being was he that he could make her madam be so humble? I've rested enough. Let's begin, Tang Jung said as he put down the teacup. Okay, Senior can use my room. It's spacious. Mu Hongyin took the initiative to say, Okay, do you need me to do anything? No need. Just stand guard at the door. Keep quiet and don't let anyone disturb you. Senior, rest assured, I will follow your instructions. Nana, later you and Senior Godly Doctor will go to the room. Be obedient and do whatever Senior tells you to do. Don't be willful and cause trouble. Mu Hongyin warned. Nana heavily nodded her head and said, Mother, I know. I won't be willful and cause trouble. That's a bad child. Nana is a good child. Very, very good. Nana, let's go in. Seeing Tang Jung holding Nana's hand and walking into her room, she couldn't help but anxiously wait. The room was filled with the faint fragrance of a woman. This was the first time Tang Jung had entered a woman's private space other than Yi Dingdong's room. He found that the style of the room was mature, but not lacking in elegance. Moreover, the faint fragrance was intoxicating, making people involuntarily think of a woman. Right, this was Mu Hongyin's scent. Previously, when Tang Jung was hugging her, he smelled this scent. I don't want to think about nonsense. Let's hurry up and get down to business. Tang Jung waved his hand and chased away the messy thoughts in his mind. He said to Nan Nan, later you close your eyes and sleep. Obediently listen to your brother's words, and it will be fine. Brother Godly Doctor, why are you using a cloth to cover your face? Nana nodded her head and curiously asked, Because Big Brother doesn't look good. Tang Jung mischievously said, That's not it. Big Brother is definitely a handsome guy. Brother Godly Doctor, can you let Nana look at your face? Nana curiously asked. Seeing her burning eyes full of expectation, Tang Jung couldn't bear to refuse and said, Okay, but this is our secret. You're not allowed to tell anyone else. Even Mom won't tell? Yes, so this is our secret. Come, let's pinky swear. Tang Jung looked at the cute little lowly, overflowing with love. Nana tilted her head and thought for a moment. After pinky swear, she nodded her head and said, Okay, our secret. Then she looked up at Tang Jung with a face full of expectation. Tang Jung slowly took off the cloth on his face, revealing a delicate and handsome face. Wow, Brother Godly Doctor is a handsome guy. Nana covered her mouth and said exaggeratedly, How old are you to know handsome guys? Nana knows everything. Brother Godly Doctor is really a handsome guy. The most handsome guy. Okay, now you can close your eyes. Do I want to sleep? You can sleep. Then can I dream of Brother Godly Doctor? I can't guarantee this. Dreams can't be controlled. I heard that the more you think of a person, the more you will dream of him. I'll try my best to think of Brother Godly Doctor. Then I'll definitely dream of you. While saying this, she closed her eyes and soon fell asleep. Tang Jung's smile disappeared, and his face became serious. Tian Chanzi, let's begin. Okay, you follow me and recite this incantation. Tian Chanzi said a tongue-twisting incantation. Tang Jung did the same. While urging his power, he recited it. The incantation was combined with his true qi. The power of the incantation was instantly stimulated, and the atmosphere in the room changed. He saw a cloud of black gas appeared on top of Nana's head, and the black gas continued to gather from all corners of the body to the top of her head. It's your evil aura that finally let me catch you. This time you won't be able to escape. Suddenly, Nana's face showed a painful color, as if she was suffering a great pain. This evil aura refused to comply, continued to urge her power. Tian Chanzi commanded. Tang Zheng immediately urged his power. In an instant, the restless evil aura calmed down. Nana's expression finally relaxed. Tang Zheng was relieved, but he did not dare to take it lightly. He saw the evil aura on top of her head was accumulating more and more. Finally, a black talisman appeared on her forehead and rapidly rotated. Tang Zheng found himself in a trance, and the surrounding space was distorted. In the next second, he appeared in a strange space. In the sky, there was a black talisman rotating rapidly. It was exactly the same as the one Tang Zheng saw on top of Nana's head. The talisman shook and suddenly turned into a black python, condescendingly looking at Tang Zheng. "Who are you? How dare you destroy my incantation?" The python opened its mouth and spoke. "Who are you, using such a sinister and vicious incantation on a child? Do you still have any humanity?" Tang Zheng asked loudly. "Haha, humanity?" The python seemed to have heard the most ridiculous thing. It turned its head and wagged its tail and laughed. "Boy, since you dare to destroy my incantation, then I will kill you today. I will also swallow your soul so that you can never be reincarnated. I will let you know the consequences of meddling in other people's business. Then let's see if you die or I die." The python swooped down, and its huge body instantly wrapped around Tang Zheng, as if it wanted to strangle Tang Zheng to death. Tang Zheng hurriedly activated his martial arts and formed a sword seal with his hand. In that instant, a strong wind blew as the flying immortals from heaven beyond sword technique suddenly displayed its might. Even though Tang Zheng had only learned the first 15 moves, its might was not to be underestimated. He only heard the sword hum fill the entire space before the python started to scream. "What kind of sword art is this? How can it be so powerful? Who are you? I am the one who will kill you. Break from me." An invisible sword was formed, and with a loud sound, it ruthlessly slashed the python's body, and the python instantly disintegrated. "I refuse to accept this. I will definitely find you." The python let out a hysterical roar and was instantly pulverized by the invisible sword chi. It floated in the vast space and finally slowly settled and merged with the floor. The space in front of him distorted, and Tang Zheng found himself back in the room. Nana was still sleeping, but there was no evil aura on her body. "I said that this little girl would benefit from a disaster. Check her body," Tian Chanzi said. Chapter 72. This is True Qi. Tang Zheng was shocked as she unexpectedly profited from a disaster, as her body now had true qi. Yes, this is the result of the life, continuing pills, spiritual power, and evil qi. I said that as long as the curse was broken, she would be compensated. Tian Chanzi said, "She has suffered so much at such a young age, so this compensation should be given. Like this, wouldn't she have already stepped onto the threshold of cultivation?" "Yes, but she is still too young and her mind has not yet fully developed. Moreover, there is no suitable cultivation method for her to cultivate, so she can only maintain her current state. But this will be very beneficial to her body, as her body will always be nourished by this true qi. In the future, whether it is martial arts or cultivation, it will be much easier." Tang Zheng was sincerely happy for her, as all his efforts were worth it. Tian Chanzi, just now that python said it would come find me. What should I do? It's just a clown. What is there to be afraid of? Oh, that's not right. Even if he is a clown in my eyes, I am afraid he is still a huge threat to you. Tang Zheng could not help but roll his eyes and say, "You can just say that I am too weak. Why beat around the bush?" Hey, that is exactly what I meant," Tian Chanzi said without any trace of politeness. "Che, you can rest assured that I will work hard to cultivate. Once I cultivate my true fire, I will be able to refine the spirit pill. At that time, my cultivation will advance by leaps and bounds." Tang Zheng said, unconvinced. "Then wait until you cultivate your true fire." Tang Zheng was a little depressed as these past few days he had tried to ignite his true fire. But every time his true chi entered his dantian, it was like a clay ox entering the sea, causing him to suffer a heavy blow. In other people's eyes, this was an extremely simple problem, but he actually met a stumbling block. So how could he not be depressed? "Brother Godly Doctor, I just dreamed of you." Nana opened her eyes and said with a smile, "Wah, you really dreamed of me?" Nana nodded seriously and said, "Yes, I dreamt that a python came to eat me, and then Brother Godly Doctor came to save me and defeated the python." Tang Zheng was startled. Wasn't she dreaming of the battle just now? During the battle just now, his consciousness was sucked into the talisman. The talisman was connected to her brain, so everything that happened was presented in her mind. She just treated it as a dream. Brother Godly Doctor is really amazing. Nana doesn't have to be afraid anymore. Tang Zheng patted her head and said, "Yes, Nana doesn't have to be afraid anymore. Will Brother Godly Doctor protect Nana? Just like how a prince protects a princess? The prince is protecting the princess." Tang Zheng laughed involuntarily. A girl could never escape the dream of being a prince and a princess, even if she was very young. Looking at her expectant eyes, Tang Zheng said, "Brother will protect you, just like how a prince protects a princess." Nana excitedly clapped her little hands and cheered. "Oh, Nana also has a prince. Brother Godly Doctor is Nana's prince." "Brother Godly Doctor, this is our secret. You can't tell anyone." Tang Zheng didn't expect her to use what he learned, so he laughed and said, "Okay, this is our secret. I won't tell anyone." Mu Hongyan stared at the bedroom door, not knowing how the treatment inside was going. Her heart was in a mess, feeling that time was passing too slowly. Mother Wu had never seen her like this, so she advised, "Madam, can that godly doctor really cure Miss Illness?" "Of course he can, because he is a godly doctor." Mu Hongyan kept telling herself that she had to believe this fact, so at this moment, she blurted it out without hesitation. Mother Wu had seen her invite too many so-called godly doctors, and many of them were great in the medical field, but they were all helpless. This time, she actually invited a weirdly dressed person to treat Mississippi. No matter how she looked at it, she felt that it was unreliable. If there really was a way, there would have been a way long ago. There was movement in the room, so Mu Hongyan hurried to the bedroom door, but she didn't dare to break in. The godly doctor had told her not to be disturbed, so although she wanted to go in and see what was going on, she resisted. Creak! Suddenly, the door opened. Nana walked out, holding Tang Zheng's hand. Her face was full of excitement, and her eyes were full of charm and luster. Her movements were completely different from before, and there were many changes compared to before. Both Mu Hongyan and Mother Wu saw it at a glance, and their eyes widened at the same time in disbelief. How could there be such a change so quickly? Mu Hongyan hurriedly squatted down and picked up Nana, carefully examining her. Her body's aura had changed a lot, and she was no longer sick, but full of vitality, like the rising sun. "Senior Godly Doctor, how is the treatment effect?" she impatiently asked. Tang Zheng faintly smiled and said, "The effect is very good. The evil aura in her body has been completely removed by me, so she will be healthy in the future." Mu Hongyan was so happy that she wanted to jump up. From yesterday until today, her mood had been on a roller coaster too many times, and she was still uneasy, so she asked, "Then 10 years later?" 10 years later, she will be safe and sound, and her body will become better and better, even better than a normal person. If she practices martial arts, I believe she will have great achievements. Mu Hongyan's mood could no longer be described as pleasant surprise. She couldn't even find the right words to describe her mood, because this result had far exceeded her expectations. Mu Hongyan fiercely kissed her daughter's face and cried tears of joy. "Nana, you're finally better. Mother is too happy." "Then Nana won't have to worry about not waking up after falling asleep?" Nana asked in a childish voice. "No need. There's no need at all." "Then that's great. From now on I can sleep in peace." Mu Hongyan put Nana down, and her mood fluctuated. She couldn't help but hold Tang Zheng's hand and said, "Senior Godly Doctor, you have given me Mu Hongyan, a new lease of life, and that money is not enough to express my gratitude. Senior, is there anything else you can help me with? I must do something so that my heart can feel more at ease. Tang Zheng understood her feelings and refused with a smile. He knew that her identity wasn't ordinary, but right now he didn't need her to do anything for him. Moreover, she had already paid for it. Senior Godly Doctor, not only are you skilled in martial arts, but your medical skills are also so high, so you must be a master. I wonder if I have the honor to know your name, so that in the future I can silently thank you. My name is not convenient to say. Then will we meet again in the future? Seeing that he didn't tell her his name, it meant that he didn't want his identity to be exposed. Mu Hongyan felt that it was a pity, but there was nothing she could do. She could only hope that they would meet again in the future. Brother Godly Doctor, will you come to see me? Nana asked in a delicate and pitiful voice. Tang Zheng was slightly startled, but he really didn't want to hurt her young heart. So he said, I will come to see you, and I will also bring you a gift. Mu Hongyan clearly saw that he was just about to refuse, but Nana's question made him change his mind. It seemed that he cared a lot about Nana. As long as he agrees to come see Nana, then it's a good thing. Mu Hongyan thought in her heart. Senior Godly Doctor, our door is always open for you. You are welcome to come at any time. This is my phone number. If you need anything, you can contact me. Mu Hongyan handed a business card to Tang Zheng. On it was only Mu Hongyan's name and a phone number. Tang Zheng put it away, and just as he was about to leave, Mu Hongyan's phone rang. Caught it. Mu Hongyan's face lit up and said, Did you confess? No. Her eyebrows immediately furrowed. The enemy's patience had exceeded her expectations. Tang Zheng had already guessed that the assassin must have been caught. His heart moved, and he asked, You caught the assassin? Mu Hongyan nodded. Can I go take a look? Tang Zheng asked. He wasn't sure if the assassin was after him, or Mu Hongyan and her mother. After the incident with Xiao Fei, he had a strong sense of vigilance towards hidden dangers and wanted to nip any danger in the bud as soon as possible. Mu Hongyan obviously didn't have any objections, and the two of them went together to a remote place. From afar, Tang Zheng could see a few figures pacing back and forth in front of the door. These were bodyguards. These people are all rank 1 and rank 2 martial artists. Just what is Mu Hongyan's identity? How could she have such a strong security force? Tang Zheng was full of suspicions. One of the bodyguards had already come up to greet them. He gave Tang Zheng a meaningful look and then respectfully reported to Mu Hongyan. The assassin's mouth was very tight, and he was also very professional. It was obvious that he had undergone anti-torture training. They had tried many methods, but they couldn't pry open his mouth. Madam, it's all because we're useless, the bodyguard said dejectedly. Mu Hongyan was also at her wit's end, but she was also unwilling to give up. Can you bring me to take a look? Tang Zheng suddenly said. Mu Hongyan hurriedly said, Senior, please. The assassin was tied to an iron pillar. His body was drenched, and there were many bloodstains. He was battered and exhausted, but his eyes were like a poisonous snake's, still shining with a faint cold light. When he saw Tang Zheng, his pupils involuntarily trembled, and he stared at him fixedly. Tang Zheng also looked at him. From the assassin's eyes, he had already determined that the assassin was here for him, and not Mu Hongyan and her daughter. Your target is me? Tang Zheng asked coldly. The assassin sneered. The answer was self-evident. Mu Hongyan was shocked. So, she was an innocent bystander. However, she didn't blame Tang Zheng. Instead, she hated the assassin. He actually dared to assassinate the senior Godly Doctor. This was no different from assassinating her. Just who are you? Mu Hongyan scolded. The assassin sneered, but didn't comment. In fact, he had been preparing for the assassination for a few days. He had also followed Tang Zheng for a few days. He originally thought that he would definitely succeed today, but he didn't expect that halfway through, Qin Yaojin would appear. He was a little regretful that he chose to make his move now. He should have waited until he was alone. Perhaps the success rate would have been higher. Madam Mu, can I be alone with him for a while? Tang Zheng wanted to interrogate the assassin, but he didn't want the assassin to reveal his identity, so he made this suggestion. Mu Hongyan didn't hesitate to agree. She walked out with her bodyguard, leaving only Tang Zheng and the assassin. It was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. A strange aura spontaneously arose. Chapter 73. I am an assassin. Assassins have their own principles. How could I betray my employer? The assassin said professionally. Tang Zheng's eyes shrunk as he grabbed the assassin's neck and said, "If you don't speak, then you will die." Haha, there aren't many assassins who are afraid of death. Tang Zheng couldn't help but remember the assassin who tried to assassinate Yi Dingdang. In the end, even Yi Tianlei couldn't pry open the other's mouth, so he also didn't have a way. Little brat, others don't have a way, but that doesn't mean you don't have one. Suddenly, Tian Chanzi's voice sounded. Tang Zheng's head moved as he said, "You have a way, of course, but after this method is used, this brat will be completely crippled. There is a magic called the soul-searching method, which can make everything in the opponent's mind unable to hide. However, this will destroy his brain, and in the future, he will become an idiot. He is not a good person. Moreover, I almost died in his hands. Turning him into an idiot is letting him off easy." Tang Zheng decisively said, "Good, you have spirit. A real man must not be soft-hearted." Tian Chanzi praised. The assassin looked at Tang Zheng in ridicule. Seeing him frown, he felt a kind of carefree feeling. Although he failed this time, he didn't admit defeat. It was because his skills were not as good as others, but because a few people suddenly appeared and ruined his plan. "I will ask you one more time. Are you going to speak or not?" Tang Zheng asked. "Don't waste your energy. You don't have the ability," the assassin proudly said. "Then you asked for it." Tang Zheng didn't waste his breath and directly used the soul-searching technique. The assassin's eyes suddenly became sluggish and cold sweat unceasingly emerged from his forehead. After a moment, Tang Zheng stopped. His eyes were cold as he muttered to himself. So it was that crazy woman. He already had an answer. All of this was instigated by Xiao Fei's mother. She wanted to take revenge for her son. As for why she determined that Tang Zheng was related to Xiao Fei becoming an idiot, the assassin's brain did not have an answer. "Well, you didn't stop after causing such a ruckus at school. I spared your son's life, but you came to kill me. Don't blame me this time." Tang Zheng was filled with killing intent. When Tang Zheng opened the door, Mu Hongyan hurried over and said, "Senior godly doctor, how is it?" Suddenly, her eyes fixed on the sluggish assassin and she was shocked. What happened to him? What a fool. Not only Mu Hongyan, but even the bodyguards behind her had their eyes wide open. To be able to turn a person into a fool in such a short period of time, this was not an easy thing to do. This was enough to show how powerful Tang Zheng was. Mu Hongyan suddenly remembered a saying. The most powerful doctor was often the best assassin. This was because the godly doctor was the best at saving people. They were also the best at killing people. They had countless ways to make people die. What she saw and heard today confirmed this point. However, she did not feel afraid because the assassin almost killed her and Nana. He deserved it. "Senior, do you need me to do anything?" "Deal with him." "Senior, rest assured. I'll leave first." "Senior, will we see each other again?" "I promised Nana that I would go see her." Tang Zheng finished speaking and quickly disappeared into the night. In fact, the assassin became an idiot, so his identity would not be exposed. Mu Hongyan was not an ordinary person. He did not know if it was a good thing or a bad thing to expose his identity in front of her. The next day, Tang Zheng withdrew 100,000 yuan in cash and came to the school. He found that there was 980,000 yuan in his bank account, and not the agreed amount of 180,000 yuan. He had a good impression of Mu Hongyan. He did not refuse the money. First, he needed money, and Mu Hongyan did not lack money. Second, he completely cured Nana and provoked the devil who used the curse technique. This 1,000,000 yuan was not a lot. Lu Qingmei coldly sat in her office. Wu Zuohong arrogantly walked in and loudly said, "Teacher Lu, just now the finance department people came to ask if Tang Zheng paid the tuition. If he did not, then according to the rules, he will withdraw from the school." Lu Qingmei slightly raised her eyebrows, glanced at her, and coldly said, "This matter is not something you should worry about. I am a part of the school. This is related to the school's interest. Why can't I worry?" Wu Tsuehong asked back, "As the teacher in charge, don't you care whether Tang Zheng pays the tuition or not? Don't you always boast that you care about the students?" Lu Qingmei lightly said, "Teacher Wu, don't think that I don't know. This time Tang Zheng's tuition matter was because of you fanning the flames behind the scenes. Before doing anything, you should touch your conscience. These years, Tang Zheng has won so many praises for your class. Yet you hit him while he is down." Wu Tsuehong quickly interrupted her and said, "There is no evidence, so don't slander others. Moreover, this is the school's decision. You should worry about whether or not he can pay the tuition. But he is so poor. It would be strange if he can pay the tuition. So he can only wait for the fate of being expelled." "Who said I will be expelled?" Tang Zheng walked in and loudly asked. Wu Tsuehong looked at him in ridicule and said, "Yo, you still dare to come. If I were you, I wouldn't come to school from today onwards. Otherwise, being expelled in front of so many people, that feeling wouldn't be good." Tang Zheng heard the conversation between the two clearly. So this tuition matter was related to the old witch. He said that the school would not specifically target him for 100,000 yuan. "You want me to be expelled? Stop daydreaming." Tang Zheng ridiculed. "Haha, you are the one who should stop daydreaming. Do you think that you can take out that much money? Then take a look for yourself." Tang Zheng threw his bag on the desk, revealing a corner of the bright red banknotes. Wu Tsuehong's face suddenly changed. Could it be that this brat really got lucky and got the money? Impossible. How could he have such good luck? On the surface there are only a few banknotes, but underneath it is all paper. Do you think this kind of self-deceiving method is useful? Wu Tsuehong did not give up and ridiculed. "You are the one who is deceiving yourself. Look at what this is. Is this paper?" Tang Zheng took out a large amount of banknotes from his bag and fiercely threw it at her face. The banknotes flew up like snowflakes. "Wow, this is really money," the other teachers exclaimed one after another. Although 100,000 yuan was not a lot, the scene of the banknotes flying in the air was still very spectacular. Tang Zheng felt very good. If it was not for the old witch deliberately provoking him again and again, he would not have done such an extreme action. Wu Tsuehong's face was ashen. She angrily roared, "Tang Zheng, you dare to attack a teacher. Don't talk nonsense. Didn't you suspect that my money is fake? I just wanted to clearly see if this money is real or fake. I don't know if you have seen it clearly." Wu Tsuehong was speechless. Her face was burning with pain. This was a slap to her face. Just a second ago, she was solemnly saying that Tang Zheng's money was fake. But in the next second, Tang Zheng used his actions to prove that all her words were bullshit. However, if Wu Tsuehong gave up like this, then she would not be an old witch. Wouldn't she have lived for 50 years in vain? So what if this money is real? Everyone knows that your family has no money. So where did all this money come from? Could it be that you've done some shady business? But did something illegal? Haha, what a joke. First you said that my money is fake. Now you say that my money came from shady source. Then you better take out the evidence. If you can't take out the evidence, then be careful that I will sue you for slander. If you don't want people to know, then don't do it. The evidence has already been removed by you. But I believe that there will be a day when you will be exposed." Wu Tsuehong continued to solemnly swear as if she saw it with her own eyes. Tang Zheng shook his head. She was already completely crazy. Arguing with this kind of crazy person was simply shameful. He said, "You are right. If you don't want people to know, then don't do it. Let's wait and see. Let's see who will show their ugly face in the end. All right, I also want to remind you that your days as a teacher are numbered. You should take advantage of this time to continue acting like a tyrant." "Haha, you still want to get first place in the college entrance exam? Keep dreaming." Wu Tsuehong coldly laughed. But her confidence was not as strong as before. This was because she also believed that Tang Zheng would not be able to take out the money. But Tang Zheng still took it out. She gradually discovered that the Tang Zheng seemed to have changed a lot compared to the Tang Zheng she knew before. Just as this thought appeared, countless new thoughts followed. She suddenly discovered that the Tang Zheng really had changed. Ever since he left class 1, he seemed to have become a completely different person. No, this must be my misconception. There is no way he can get first place. There is no way I will lose. She continuously comforted herself. Lu Qingmei saw that Tang Zheng took out the money on time. Her heart finally relaxed, but her expression did not change much. She nodded towards Tang Zheng and said, "Let's go. I will take you to the finance office to pay the money." Arriving at the finance office to pay the money, Tang Zheng's crisis of dropping out of school was easily resolved. Lu Qingmei said, "Tang Zheng, you have already taken a leave of absence from the night classes. Since you won't win the bet, this period of time cannot be delayed. Tonight's class will continue." Okay," Tang Zheng unwillingly said. "You don't seem to be willing?" Lu Qingmei's eyes trembled as she asked. Tang Zheng squeezed out a smile and said, "How could that be? Teacher Lu has taken care of me. I cannot thank you enough." "It's good that you know." Lu Qingmei's eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness. "You want to escape from my palm like this? I still haven't dug out all of your secrets." Tang Zheng returned to the classroom. Before he even sat down, he saw that Yi Dingdong's face was strange. After a while, Yi Dingdong stammered, "Tang Zheng, come with me after school. I have something to do. Can you push it off? My matter is very important." Tang Zheng thought about Lu Qingmei's expression and refused. "No, my matter is also very important." Yi Dingdong fiercely glared at him and said, "Can't you make an exception for me? This matter concerns my happiness." "What matter? You make it sound so serious. Song, you told me to take him around ordinary Balance City tonight. What's the problem? He won't eat people." Chapter 74. These past few days, Yi Dingdong had been very distressed. Every day after school, she would have to face Song Yu. She also couldn't use Tang Zheng as a shield every day. Song Yu was very handsome and was indeed very pleasing to the eye. For a normal girl, he would definitely be the perfect candidate for a Prince Charming. But Yi Dingdong was different. If she didn't like someone, then it would be very hard for her to like him. Moreover, she didn't like her fate. She wanted to break free from her shackles. Thus, even though Song Yu's performance could make any girl fall in love with him, her heart was becoming more and more firm like a boulder. Seeing her sincere expression, Tang Zheng weighed the risks of being with Lu Qingmei. In the end, he decided that it would be better to be with Yi Dingdong. This way, he wouldn't reveal too many flaws in front of Lu Qingmei. "Okay, I promise you. But you have to fight for Teacher Lu's approval." "What does this have to do with her?" Yi Dingdong didn't know that Lu Qingmei was giving Tang Zheng preferential treatment. "Teacher Lu has to give me tutoring at night. If you want me to accompany you, then you naturally have to ask for her approval," Tang Zheng explained. Yi Dingdong looked at him in astonishment. Lu Qingmei was always cold and treated her students well. However, she never gave anyone preferential treatment. Why was she so good to him? Strange, strange. He is becoming more and more unfathomable. She muttered to herself. But right now, she didn't have the time to care about it. She said, "Okay, I promise you." Yi Dingdong left the classroom in a hurry. Not long after, she came back with a face full of pride. Teacher Lu agreed. The corners of Tang Zheng's mouth curled up slightly, but he didn't know that Lu Qingmei's heart was in turmoil at this moment. She was very unhappy. "Tang Zheng, you've stood me up again and again. You've dodged the first time, but let's see how you'll dodge the next time." Tang Zheng had no idea that Lu Qingmei was even more concerned about him. After school, he was dragged out of school by Yi Dingdong. He did not notice Fang Shishir, who was watching the scene from a distance with her mouth agape. Fang Shishir knew that Tang Zheng was going to make up lessons tonight, but she didn't expect that he would be with Yi Dingdong. Looking at the two of them being so intimate, she had mixed feelings and felt jealous. "Why would he lie to me? Don't you know this will make me very sad?" Her expression was gloomy, extremely pained. "No, this is definitely a misunderstanding. I have to have confidence in him." Another voice sounded. "Seeing is believing. You've seen it with your own eyes. How could it be fake? He's lying to you. Yi Dingdong is so beautiful. How could he resist the temptation?" Fang Shishir's heart was in chaos. The more she thought about it, the more she didn't dare to think about it. The more she thought about it, the more afraid she became. Feng Shishir was afraid of losing Tang Zheng. Unknowingly, she felt more and more that she couldn't bear to part with him. Feng Shishir left the school in a daze. That night, she couldn't sleep. In the end, she dreamed that Tang Zheng left her. In her sleep, tears fell from the corner of her eyes, wetting her pillow. Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang had just walked out of the school when a Land Rover stopped in front of them. Dingdang, Annie has something to do today. I'm here to pick you up from school. Sonyu walked out with a faint smile. Her smile was enough to instantly win the hearts of most girls. Yi Dingdang wrinkled her eyebrows. She thought in her heart that Feng Xinyang had something to do. It must be you who volunteered. However, she had Tang Zheng as a shield. She calmly said, "It's okay. Didn't you say that you wanted to walk around ordinary Balanced City tonight? Tang Zheng and I will accompany you. We'll do our part as hosts." She had announced to the public that Tang Zheng was her fiancé. So naturally, she intimately held onto Tang Zheng's arm. Tang Zheng's head shook. He felt two soft lumps tightly pressed against his arm. The feeling was overwhelming. Song Yu's expression did not change as she said, "That's for the best. I've always wanted to interact more with Tang Zheng. Let's get in the car." The three people got in the car. Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang sat in the back seat. They were still intimately stuck together. Almost half of her body was hanging onto Tang Zheng's body. Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. In order to chase Song Yu away, she was really willing to put in a lot of effort. Song Yu acted as if she didn't see anything. She calmly said, "Let's eat first. Dingdang, what do you like to eat?" Yi Dingdang rolled her eyes and said with a mischievous smile, "Since we're in ordinary Balance, of course we have to experience the local culture. Let's go. I'll take you to a place to eat." Yi Dingdang led the way. The Land Rover went straight to the old district in the north of the city. Not long after, a group of low buildings came into view. Compared to the bustling city center, it was simply a different world. Yi Dingdang guessed that Song Yu had never been to such a dirty and messy place before. So, she deliberately made him feel disgusted. Sure enough, the pampered Song Yu frowned and asked, "What's good to eat here?" Yi Dingdang proudly said, "Good food is among the people. The delicacies on the streets and alleys are the most authentic." As she said this, she pointed to a food stall on the street. "I think this place is pretty good. Stop the car. We'll eat here today." After the car stopped, she couldn't wait to pull Tang Zheng into the food stall. It was already dark and there were many customers. It was very noisy. Song Yu finally couldn't maintain his calm. He felt uncomfortable all over. He had lived a life of luxury since he was young. He had never been to a place with such a bad environment. Looking at the other people eating heartily, he had the urge to run away. However, if he did that, he would be completely defeated. His strong self-esteem made him stop in his tracks and force himself to sit down. "Is the food here really delicious?" he asked uncomfortably. Yi Dingdang nodded and said, "Of course it's delicious. Tang Zheng, don't you agree?" Tang Zheng nodded honestly. He grew up in a worse environment, so he didn't feel uncomfortable. The three of them ordered a few dishes. Tang Zheng ate with relish. Yi Dingdang ate a few mouthfuls and found that it was really good. It wasn't as bad as she thought, so she also ate. Only Song Yu found it difficult to swallow. He only moved his chopsticks once and then stopped eating with a sullen face. Of course, he knew Yi Dingdang's thoughts, but he didn't point it out. Moreover, for the benefit of the family, he had to marry Yi Dingdang, especially after he got along with Yi Dingdang for a long time. Although she didn't like him, her valiant character formed a strong contrast with the pretentiousness of ordinary rich young ladies. Instead, it aroused a strong interest in him. He felt that this marriage was a good choice. The marriage of people in big families was generally not a simple marriage. It involved the interests of all parties. Sonya grew up in the Song family. Of course, he knew this, so he didn't dislike this marriage. Although Yi Dingdang claimed that Tang Zheng was her fiancé, and even her parents didn't refute it, the smart Song Yu naturally knew that this was all a show. Therefore, he wasn't angry. He was a conceited person. He was confident that he could burst the bubble of this lie. When he saw Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang holding hands, he didn't drive Tang Zheng away. He didn't even speak ill of him. He was confident that he could solve this crisis with his intelligence. However, when he saw the two people eating with relish, his stomach grumbled. What? Are you hungry? If you're hungry, then eat. It's delicious. Yi Dingdang raised her head and said mischievously. Song Yu reluctantly squeezed out a smile and said, I'm not hungry. If you're not hungry, then we'll eat more. Yi Dingdang didn't force him. Instead, she enthusiastically picked up food for Tang Zheng. The atmosphere at the table was a bit strange. Even the guests sitting next to them were aware of it. However, their attention wasn't on the two men. Instead, it was on the beautiful Yi Dingdang. Yi Dingdang's beauty wasn't commonly seen in this dirty and messy place. She was like a water lily blooming in a pond. Many people were eating while sizing her up from time to time, especially the group of men at the next table who were looking at her without restraint. Hee, this little girl is really tender and tender. Her taste in bed must be pretty good, a man said with an unbridled, evil smile. Right, such a tender little girl isn't commonly seen. It's a waste not to eat her. Haha, Brother Hua, you're so handsome. You can definitely win this little girl's heart. Right, in ordinary balances territory, who dares not give face to Brother Hua? It's her good fortune that Brother Hua likes her. The others all agreed. The man called Brother Hua was a big and burly man. Because he drank, his face was red and his eyes were shining. He licked his lips and said, Okay, today Brother Hua will personally show you how to pick up a girl. Brother Hua slowly stood up and walked in front of Yi Dingdang. He loudly said, Beauty, let's have a drink. Yi Dingdang's eyebrows immediately wrinkled. She was about to explode when she glanced at Song Yu. She rolled her eyes and said, Young Master Song, what do you say we should do in this situation? She deliberately pointed the spearhead at Song Yu. However, Song Yu had no choice but to accept. He wrinkled his eyebrows, and a trace of anger appeared on his delicate cheeks. He swept his eyebrows and glanced at Brother Hua and said, Scram. Brother Hua flew into a rage. This handsome guy with Xiao Bai's face actually dared to tell him scram. He must have eaten a leopard's guts. Fuck Xiao Bai's face. You actually dare to speak to me like that. I'm going to beat you until you're looking for your teeth on the floor. Brother Hua roared in high spirits. Brother Hua is mighty. The other lackeys all shouted out in support. Song Yu didn't move, but his face gradually sank. Brother Hua was the first person who dared to call him Xiao Bai's face. Yi Dingdang looked at him with interest. She didn't know how he would resolve this crisis. Dingdang, this isn't too good, right? Tang Zheng reminded in a small voice. Yi Dingdang smirked and said, If I don't do this, how can I make him back off? Let him lose a bit of face. Then he will definitely leave ordinary balance and won't bother me anymore. Wouldn't you be free then? Tang Zheng also thought so. Moreover, with him and Yi Dingdang there, Song Yu wouldn't really get hurt. Towards Song Yu, he always had a feeling that he couldn't see through him. So even though the other party expressed goodwill many times, he deliberately kept his distance. Brother Hua arrogantly glanced at Song Yu and said, Gigolo, it's too late for you to kowtow and admit your mistake. Eat this daddy's fist first, and then we'll talk. Chapter 75. Song Yu acted as if she didn't see it. Her facial muscles didn't change in the slightest as the fist was about to hit his face. Whoosh! A gust of wind swept past, and a figure stood in front of Song Yu. He simply waved his hand. Bang! With a muffled sound, Brother Hua flew out and crashed into the dining table. He was dizzy from the fall. Ah! The crowd immediately burst into cries of surprise as everyone stared dumbfoundedly at the old man who suddenly appeared in front of Song Yu, Qin Lao. Song Yu's expression didn't change as she glanced at Brother Hua's group of people. Immediately, everyone was scared into silence. Yi Dingdang was greatly disappointed. She originally wanted to embarrass Song Yu so that he would retreat. She didn't think that someone would come out of nowhere. Brother Hua crawled up from the ground and cursed angrily. F***CK. You still dare to make a move. Attack. A few of his underlings looked at each other and clenched their teeth as they charged forward. Song Yu didn't even look as she calmly said, "Ding dang, this meal isn't good. Let's go somewhere else." Yi Ding Dang only wished for the world to be in chaos. Although she knew that Qin Lao was an expert, she also understood that this group of people were definitely local tyrants. So she purposely said, "We haven't finished eating yet. It would be a waste to leave. Tang Zheng eat." And Tang Zheng indifferently shrugged his shoulders. As he ate, he focused his attention on the battlefield. He only saw an afterimage rush into the crowd, and after a few seconds, a few big men all fell to the ground screaming. Qin Lao once again stood in front of Song Yu as if he didn't move at all. Tang Zheng's head trembled as he thought to himself, what a fast speed. As expected of a 5th grade post-celestial stage expert. Brother Hua and his underlings were like clay chickens and pottery dogs. You guys just wait. Wait for me to call our boss fan. You guys won't be able to bear the consequences. Brother Hua was out of breath as he trembled as he shouted. Boss fan. Tang Zheng shivered. Could they be boss fan's men? This was the northern part of the city, Lin Hu's territory. Shouldn't he inform Lin Hu that boss fan's men had come here to cause trouble? While he was hesitating, Brother Hua had already dialed boss fan's number. He cried bitterly and asked boss fan to come and get justice for him. Boss fan was worried that he couldn't find a reason to deal with Lin Hu. His martial arts were higher than Lin Hu's, and his influence was also greater. Most importantly, he knew that Lin Hu made Huang Xing very unhappy. So he had the idea of dealing with Lin Hu. Not only could he increase his strength, but he could also help Huang Xing vent his anger. It was definitely a profitable deal. Therefore, when he heard Brother Hua's report, he immediately rushed here without stopping. Yi Ding Dang was the kind of person who craved for the world to be in chaos. Seeing that Brother Hua was calling for help, she excitedly cheered. Okay, we'll wait for his help. Tang Zheng originally planned to leave, but since the other side called for Boss Fan, he also had the interest to continue watching. Boss Fan had spoken rudely to him many times. This time, he took the opportunity to let him meet a rebuff from Song Yu. Seeing that Yi Ding Dang didn't leave, Song Yu obviously knew what she was thinking. However, she didn't mind. Instead, she felt that this kind of little girl's behavior was very straightforward and cute. Since you want to watch, then I'll satisfy you. I'll let you know my strength. Song Yu gave Qin Lao a look to calm him down. Then, she calmly sat on the fishing platform. Tang Zheng quietly sent a message to Lin Hu. Then, he continued to eat with relish. A moment later, a series of emergency brakes suddenly sounded. 30 to 40 people swarmed in and instantly blocked the door. Who hurt my little brother? Big Head Fan rushed in, unable to restrain his anger, and saw his subordinates lying on the ground. Boss, you're finally here. These are the people who hit us. Brother Hua impatiently pointed at Tang Zheng's table as if he had seen his savior. Boss Fan's gaze was immediately attracted. He angrily roared. You ate a leopard's gall, huh? Suddenly, his voice came to an abrupt stop. It was as if his throat was stuck. His eyes were wide open as he stared straight at Tang Zheng. It's you. He was already dissatisfied with Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng had caused him to lose face many times. Moreover, he had lost a lot of money. When enemies meet, their eyes would turn red. He boldly and decisively walked over and slammed his fist on the table. He roared, Brat, there was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. Today, don't even think of walking out of this door. Although Boss Fan knew that Tang Zheng was an expert, he didn't believe that he couldn't deal with him with so many brothers. Tang Zheng inwardly sighed. It seems that his thinking was too simple. After calling Boss Fan over, Boss Fan's spearhead was directly aimed at him. Song Yu's pair of bright eyes thoughtfully looked at Tang Zheng. Yi Ding Dang also looked at Tang Zheng in astonishment and asked, You know him? Tang Zheng nodded. We have a bit of history. Yi Ding Dang was enraptured. She thought that she had finally discovered Tang Zheng's secret. Her heart said that she would definitely ask him clearly later. But right now, she had to deal with Boss Fan. Seeing that Boss Fan's spearhead was aimed at Tang Zheng, she unhappily curled her lips and said, Song Yu, among the three of us, you are the oldest. This kind of trouble should be dealt with by you. Song Yu was slightly startled. She immediately smiled and said, "Since Ding Dang has this request, then I will not decline." Saying this, she signaled to Qin Lao with her eyes. Qin Lao tacitly understood. He flashed out like lightning and attacked Boss Fan with one hand. Boss Fan did not expect that the opponent would attack without a word. He was angry and anxious as he roared, "You're courting death." Boss Fan's third-grade body refining cultivation was not just for show. He fiercely counterattacked. His arm shot out like a sharp sword towards Qin Lao. This time, Qin Lao's attack was very slow. It was slow enough for everyone to clearly see the trajectory of the attack. Seeing this, Boss Fan thought that the opponent was not strong enough and was full of confidence. Pung! A sound like muffled thunder rang out. Boss Fan was like a kite with a broken string as he flew out and fiercely slammed into the wall. Kacha! The sound of bones breaking suddenly rang out. Boss Fan cried out miserably. His right hand was already drooping down. It was broken. One simple move, and Boss Fan was defeated. At this time, the other little brothers were dumbstruck. It was as if they had seen a ghost. They did not know what to do. "You overestimate yourself." Sonya did not even look as she disdainfully said. Yi Ding Dang pouted. This Boss Fan was too weak. Such a simple move, and he was defeated. Tang Zheng was not surprised because this was the result that he had already expected. "Ding Dang, these clowns are really boring. Let's go," Sonya suggested. Yi Ding Dang felt that there was nothing interesting to see. Just as she was about to nod, Boss Fan's angry roar rang out again. "Stop. You dare to behave so atrociously in ordinary balance? I won't let you leave this restaurant alive." Boss Fan had been awe-inspiring for too long. In ordinary balance, there were not many people who dared to disrespect him. This time, he had suffered such a big loss in front of his little brothers. If he did not take action, then how would he survive in the underworld? Thus, he endured the pain and stood up. This time, there was a pistol in his hand. The black muzzle was aimed at the people around him. Qin Lao's pupils shrunk. He immediately stood in front of Song Yu, and Tang Zheng's body tensed up. He also unconsciously stood in front of Yi Ding Dang to protect her. Yi Ding Dang's heart warmed as she became excited. There's going to be a good show to watch. Don't move. Otherwise, I will shoot. I want to see if you guys are faster than my gun. Boss Fan's heart was filled with anger, but he was incomparably calm. He thought to himself that the gun was still the most powerful. If he had used his gun earlier, then he would not have suffered such a big loss. "You're courting death." Qin Lao's body was filled with killing intent, as he coldly said. With a gun in hand, Boss Fan felt a lot more at ease. He unrestrainedly said, "You're about to die, and you still dare to be stubborn." Tang Zheng inwardly sighed. He thought to himself that you already have half a foot in the gates of hell, but you don't even know it. Qin Lao was a 5th-grade natal stage expert. At such a close distance, a pistol was not much of a threat to him. This was because he had many ways to kill him before he could even open fire. "Yo, this place is so lively. Boss Fan, you're using a gun in my territory. You're really impressive." Suddenly, a voice floated in, only to see Lin Hu bring a group of people and charge in aggressively. He had rushed over after receiving Tang Zheng's message. When he saw the situation, he couldn't help but feel angry. Boss Fan was too arrogant, daring to use a gun in his territory. Boss Fan's gaze trembled as he said, "Lin Hu, this brat is on the same side as you. He dared to harm my brother, so I'm taking revenge for him." Lin Hu nodded towards Tang Zheng and said, "Boss Fan, you're using a gun because you're not as good as others. As a boss, you're not that bad. You don't need to meddle in my business. Go away." Boss Fan angrily shouted. Lin Hu's face sank as he shouted, "Boss Fan, look clearly. Whose territory is this? You're behaving so atrociously in my territory. Do you think I'll sit idly by and do nothing? Moreover, you're targeting my brother Tang Zheng. Do you want to be my enemy? So what if I'm your enemy?" Boss Fan disdainfully said, "Lin Hu, you've offended young Master Huang. Your good days have come to an end." Lin Hu's expression slightly changed. During this period of time, the underworld had already spread the news that Lin Hu and young Master Huang had a grudge. Lin Hu naturally knew that this was related to Tang Zheng. A while ago, he heard that Huang Zhang was injured. That matter was definitely related to Tang Zheng, but outsiders didn't know the details. However, Lin Hu knew a little more than others. Even Huang Zhang had suffered a loss at the hands of Tang Zheng. So how could Lin Hu not continue to maintain a good relationship with Tang Zheng? Boss Fan, if you want to touch Tang Zheng, you'll have to step over my dead body. Lin Hu directly stood between Tang Zheng and Boss Fan, as he coldly said. Boss Fan's heart was shocked. What was wrong with Lin Hu? Why was he so unafraid of death? He was actually willing to risk his life for these people. Song Yu looked at this scene with interest as her eyes roamed over Tang Zheng's body. Even Qin Lao couldn't help but take another look at Tang Zheng. The scene fell into a stalemate as the atmosphere became strange. Boss Fan's breathing became hurried as this scene was out of his expectations. He had fallen into a dilemma. Chapter 76. Boss Fan, if you don't dare to shoot, then scram. The north of the city does not welcome you. Lin Hu righteously reprimanded. Boss Fan's expression was unsettled. This time, he originally wanted to give Lin Hu a slap in the face, but in the end, he was caught in this deadlock. If it was only Tang Zheng and the others, then he might have the confidence to threaten them with a gun, but with Lin Hu involved, he did not have the confidence to do so. He had a gun, but it wasn't that Lin Hu didn't have one. It was just that he didn't take it out. Moreover, the other side had an expert backing them up, so he had no choice but to be careful. But if he just left like this, where would his face go? The most important thing in life was face. Just as he was hesitating, Yi Dingdang rolled his eyes and said, Song Yu, you are the dignified young master of the Song family. If someone pointed a gun at you like this, wouldn't people laugh their heads off? Don't tell me you don't want to do something. Song Yu's eyebrows knitted as he calmly said, This is ordinary Balance City. The guests should follow the host's wishes. I feel that this matter is more suitable for Tang Zheng to handle. Song Yu changed his mind and did not plan to stand up for himself. He was very curious about Tang Zheng, so he wanted to use Boss Fan to test his strength. Sly. Yi Dingdang curled his lips, but his gaze involuntarily fell on Tang Zheng's body. Tang Zheng bitterly smiled. This matter went in a circle, so why did it fall on his head in the end? However, he was not afraid. Even if he faced Boss Fan alone, he would not be afraid, not to mention now that he had Lin Hu's help. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Lin Hu and directly said, Boss Fan, do you want to kill me? Little brat, you have offended young Master Huang. You won't live for many days. Boss Fan coldly reprimanded. Tang Zheng coldly smiled. It seems that Boss Fan's news was not very good. He actually did not know that Huang Ziyang had suffered a loss at his hands. He looked at Boss Fan with ridicule and said, I don't know how many days I have left, but there is one thing. If you want to leave here today, you must pay a certain price. Ha, do you think you can stop me? Boss Fan disapprovingly mocked. You think I can't stop you? Then we can give it a try. Tang Zheng lightly said, his words filled with strong self-confidence. Boss Fan's face full of ridicule as he said, You think you can be unrestrained just because you have Lin Hu's backing? You underestimate me too much. Lin Hu advised in a low voice, Little brother, Boss Fan is not simple. Moreover, he has a gun in his hand, so you must not be careless. Tang Zheng nodded his head. I know. Brother Hu, don't worry. He wants to rely on a gun to deal with me. He thinks it's too easy. Tang Zheng had already been shot twice. The first time he was shot by Huang Ziyang. The second time he was shot by an assassin. Now, he no longer had a strong fear of guns. At a distance, guns could pose a fatal threat to him. But at such a close distance, a handgun may not be able to do anything to him. Seeing that Tang Zheng was not afraid, Lin Hu was slightly astonished. He did not try to persuade him, but he did not relax his vigilance. If Boss Fan really dared to shoot, he would definitely not sit idly by. Song Yu's eyes narrowed as she asked in an almost inaudible voice, Qin Lao, is Tang Zheng really not a martial artist? This was the point he was most suspicious of. From the outside, Tang Zheng looked no different from an ordinary person. He was not a martial artist, but his calmness and courage under the gun was not something an ordinary person would have. It gave others the illusion that he was a top expert. Old Man Qin stared at Tang Zheng without blinking, his sharp gaze as if he wanted to see through him. Then, he firmly shook his head. He is definitely not a martial artist. Song Yu heard this and was even more confused. He did not doubt Qin Lao's judgment. After all these years, Qin Lao's judgment had never been wrong. Then where did Tang Zheng's courage come from? Qin Lao also had the same question. He could not see through Tang Zheng anymore. Only Yi Dingdang was full of confidence. She knew how dangerous Tang Zheng's battle with Huang Xiang was. He had survived, so she believed that Boss Fan would not be able to hurt him. At the same time, another thought appeared in her mind. Since Song Yu was so persistent, then she would let Tang Zheng show his strength. From there, Song Yu would back off. So, she was looking forward to Tang Zheng's performance. Tang Zheng had undoubtedly become the focus of attention. Everyone's eyes were focused on him. Boss Fan stared at Tang Zheng. His aura involuntarily weakened. He roared, "Tang Zheng, then I will fulfill your wish." As he said this, he pulled the trigger. Lin, who also wanted to pull out his gun, but someone was faster than him. A figure flashed like a bolt of lightning across the night sky. Tang Zheng had already leapt out. His 5 fingers closed together like a sharp sword, as if wanting to cut through the air. Caught off guard, he had already arrived in front of Big Head Fan. Outer Heaven Flying Immortal. Tang Zheng's first move was Outer Heaven Flying Immortal. He was like an immortal that flew from the heavens. With a light finger, it was like a divine sword that fell from the heavens. Pucci. His fingertip cut across Boss Fan's wrist. Blood splashed out. His finger that was about to pull the trigger stopped. Pa! His finger uncontrollably loosened, and the pistol fell to the ground. He was dumbstruck as if he had seen a ghost. How did this brat become so fast? He is much stronger than when he was fighting. In just a few days, how did he improve so much? Boss Fan's heart flashed with countless questions. He did not know that Tang Zheng was no longer the same as before. He had already broken through to the 3rd grade refining chi. A 3rd grade refining chi against a 3rd grade refining body was a complete crushing victory. The two could not be compared at all. The moment Qin Lao saw Tang Zheng move, his expression involuntarily changed. He was incomparably dignified and shocked. Song Yu's pupils also shrunk. He was in disbelief as he turned his head to look at Qin Lao. This time, Qin Lao, who had never misjudged someone, was truly mistaken. Immediately, his feelings towards Tang Zheng became even more complicated. He always thought that Tang Zheng was not simple, but he never thought that he would be so complicated. It completely exceeded his expectations. Only Yi Dingdang was cheering as if she had won. In fact, her feelings were also very complicated. She clearly found that Tang Zheng was much stronger than before. Just based on that lightning-fast move, she did not have the confidence to use it. Did he surpass me? This question surfaced in her heart, but was immediately drowned out by joy. This was because she saw Qin Lao and Song Yu's reactions. Since they were so dumbfounded, it meant that Tang Zheng's actions were extremely successful. I want you to know his strength. My fiancé is not someone to be trifled with. This time, Song Yu should retreat. She thought complacently, as if Tang Zheng had really become her fiancé. What are you doing? Boss Fan finally knew fear. With a gun in hand, he was very confident. But now, he found that the gun was not omnipotent. I will leave you with a deep lesson. Just as he finished speaking, Tang Zheng raised his hand and brought it down. Another Pucci sound rang out as blood splattered everywhere. Boss Fan's hand that was holding the gun was completely limp. The meridians around his wrist were damaged. From now on, his martial arts would be greatly reduced. This time, Tang Zheng was not lenient. Ever since he suffered from Qiao Fei's revenge, he understood the principle of preemptive strike. Although he could not openly kill Boss Fan, he could at least heavily injure him. This kind of permanent damage to a martial artist was absolutely devastating. Tang Zheng's actions were clean and efficient, causing the others to involuntarily tremble, especially the group of little brothers who were silent out of fear. They no longer dared to treat Tang Zheng as a student. Lin, who witnessed Tang Zheng's rapid growth and could not help but inwardly sigh. It was fortunate that he was wise enough to turn weapons of war into gifts of jade and silk. Otherwise, the one suffering now would be him. Boss Fan loudly screamed. The veins on his forehead were exposed, but he did not dare to look at Tang Zheng. He finally understood that he was not Tang Zheng's opponent. He was both angry and afraid. Scram, if you dare to let me see you doing bad things in the future, then it won't be so simple. Tang Zheng said. Boss Fan felt as if he had been pardoned. He clenched his teeth and did not bother to pick up the pistol. He rushed out of the restaurant. The other little brothers also swarmed after him. Lin Hu picked up the pistol and handed it over to Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng shook his head. He was a student, so he could not accept this kind of thing. Moreover, this was a hot potato. If he held it in his hands, it would only cause trouble. Lin Hu understood tacitly and laughed. He directly put it away and said, Today Boss Fan has completely fallen. He will certainly be ridiculed by the people of the underworld. This is what he brought upon himself. Tang Zheng said without batting an eyelid. Wah, Tang Zheng, you really are too awesome. Yi Dingdang was like a butterfly as she hugged onto Tang Zheng's arm. Her breasts that were like budding flowers pressed tightly onto his body, causing his heart to be like a monkey and galloping like a horse. Yi Dingdang did not seem to notice. Just now, for a moment, she really did have the illusion that he was an unparalleled hero. Yi Dingdang had a serious hero complex. So when she saw Tang Zheng drive away Boss Fan, her good impression of him increased by a lot. At the same time, it was as if she had discovered a new continent. Her eyes moved between Tang Zheng and Lin Hu. She had already guessed that Lin Hu was a person of the underworld and that Tang Zheng had a close relationship with him. She thought that she had discovered Tang Zheng's secret, so she was especially happy. Little brother, is this your friend? Lin Hu asked with a smile. Yes. Tang Zheng was just about to say that they were classmates, but Yi Dingdang beat him to it and said, I am his fiancé. She said this and glared at Tang Zheng as if to say, Look, you almost exposed me. Tang Zheng reluctantly squeezed out a smile and did not refute. Lin Hu looked at Tang Zheng in astonishment. He actually had a fiancé. Then he looked at Yi Dingdang and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Martial artist. This little girl was actually also a martial artist, and her strength was even higher than his. Lin Hu was a bit dizzy. How did so many martial artists suddenly appear? No one paid attention to Lin Hu's shock. Song Yu directly walked over and stared at Tang Zheng. Her blazing eyes seemed to want to melt him. Brother Tang, you have good skills. Song Yu praised. Tang Zheng faintly smiled and said, I've embarrassed myself. Song Yu shook her head and sighed. I didn't expect you to be the one hiding your strength. Chapter 77. His gaze was like a knife, and the atmosphere changed in an instant. A suffocating aura filled the air, and Tang Zheng felt as if there was a huge boulder pressing down on him. His breathing was rapid, but he did not give in. He looked at Qin Lao with indignation. From the beginning to the end, he was not willing to have too much contact with the other party, because Qin Lao's cultivation was too high. His fiery eyes could see through many things that others could not see. What do you mean? Tang Zheng clenched his teeth and asked. You still dare to quibble. What sword technique did you use just now? Qin Lao asked sternly. Just now, even though Tang Zheng had only used one move, Heaven Flying Immortal, Old Man Qin's eyes were like torches, and he immediately realized that this sword technique was different from the rest. Although I only saw one move, that sword technique made my heart tremble. This feeling was exactly the same as when I saw Sword God Yi Yuan's sword technique. Could it be that he came from the Sword God's sect? Qin Lao was shocked. It was said that the Sword God had only accepted 3 disciples so far. However, outsiders had no idea who these 3 people were. No, although this feeling is the same, the sword technique is completely different. Tang Zheng is definitely not using the Sword God's Howren sword, but Tang Zheng's sword technique is not inferior to the Howren sword. This square root, Qin Lao found it hard to imagine that there was such a mystical sword technique in this world. This sword technique was definitely tempered by countless generations of people, so there must be someone who taught Tang Zheng this sword technique. That person must be a super expert that was not inferior to the sword god. Qin Lao's heart beat faster. The number of top experts in this world could be counted on one hand, but this person was unknown. He was really puzzled. It was definitely not a coincidence that this kind of super expert's descendant appeared in this world, and it was also related to Song Yu. As a consecrator of the Song family, Qin Lao had no choice but to consider the stakes. The others didn't know that so many thoughts were running through Qin Lao's mind. They thought that his reaction was too intense. However, Tang Zheng felt a chill in his heart. This Qin Lao really had a pair of discerning eyes. He actually saw through the extraordinariness of the flying immortals from beyond the heavens. However, how could Tang Zheng tell him the truth? He directly refused. It's not convenient to tell you. Qin Lao's eyes turned cold. Tang Zheng felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. His whole body turned cold. He quickly circulated his true qi to offset this cold. "What are you doing?" he asked angrily. "Tang Zheng, where did you learn from? You better tell me the truth." Qin Lao asked relentlessly. "I have my own business. There's no need to tell you." "You?" Qin Lao was about to speak again when Yi Dingdang blocked Tang Zheng's path and said unhappily, "Qin Lao, what are you doing? Could it be that you want to use your seniority to bully others?" Yi Dingdang had been dissatisfied with them for a long time, so she took this opportunity to vent her anger. She wasn't afraid of the other party. Qin Lao was unmoved. He continued to stare at Tang Zheng as if he wouldn't give up until he told the truth. Yi Dingdang saw this and said unhappily, "Song Yu, what's the matter with him? Tang Zheng is my fiancé, not a criminal. You don't have the right to interrogate him like a criminal." Song Yu was also slightly surprised by Qin Lao's extreme reaction. It was very rare to see him treat a person with such enthusiasm. "Qin Lao, since he doesn't want to say more, then we won't force him," Song Yu advised. Qin Lao hesitated for a moment before reluctantly nodding his head. Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. This Qin Lao was too shrewd. Fortunately, Yi Dingdang helped him out. Yi Dingdang unhappily glared at Qin Lao and said, "Tang Zheng, let's go." She pulled Tang Zheng out of the restaurant. Lin Hu thoughtfully looked at Qin Lao and Song Yu before following them out. The other lackeys also left one after another. Song Yu also wanted to chase after them, but was stopped by Qin Lao. "Young master, I have something to say to you." "Qin Lao, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting so strangely?" Song Yu stopped and asked curiously. Qin Lao furrowed his brows and said, "This Tang Zheng is too strange. Young master should avoid contact with him." Song Yu's face instantly became serious. He was very clear about the meaning of this sentence. He asked in astonishment, "Qin Lao, why do you say this? Is it really that serious?" Qin Lao nodded his head heavily and resolutely said, "Young master, we will immediately leave ordinary balance." Song Yu could no longer maintain his calm. Qin Lao actually said such words. This meant that there would be a situation that even he could not control. Song Yu was very clear about what this meant. "Is it related to Tang Zheng?" "Yes. I am worried that he is coming for you. I am responsible for young master's safety. I will definitely not let young master be in danger," Qin Lao cautiously said. "Qin Lao, calm down. My mission in ordinary balance is not yet complete. How can I give up halfway? Young master, is your life more important than the mission?" Qin Lao coldly asked. Song Yu's pupils shrank. He was speechless. After a while, he unwillingly nodded his head. "Fine, then I will listen to you. We must thoroughly investigate Tang Zheng," Qin Lao said in a deep voice. Song Yu was speechless. Tang Zheng did not expect that his move would actually scare Song Yu away. At this moment, he bid farewell to Lin Hu and was then stared straight at by Yi Dingdang. "Is there a flower on my face? Why are you looking at me like that?" Yi Dingdang's face was filled with a little pride. He clicked his tongue and said, "Tang Zheng, you really hide deeply. Speak, how many more secrets are you hiding?" Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. He said, "What secrets do I have? This time I saw it with my own eyes. Do you still dare to deny it? How do you know Lin Hu and Boss Fan? They are people of the underworld. As a student, you shouldn't have any interactions with them, right?" Yi Dingdang impatiently asked. I met them by chance. What's wrong with that? Who are you trying to lie to? This is my business. I don't want to talk about it. No, this time don't think you can get away with it. Otherwise, I will never talk to you again. Yi Dingdang did not give up and said, It's good that you don't talk to me. Tang Zheng would not obediently give in. Yi Dingdang was speechless. She simply could not do anything to Tang Zheng. Suddenly, she thought of a plan and said, If you don't say it, then I will tell Feng Xinyan that I like you. Then what do you think she will do? Tang Zheng's head tightened as he said, Do you have to be so cruel? This is what you forced me to do. Yi Dingdang was immensely proud of herself. Tang Zheng's face was bitter. Feng Xinyan always wanted to matchmake him and Yi Dingdang. If she was sure that Yi Dingdang really liked him, then who knows what methods she would use to make him her son-in-law. Tang Zheng felt terrified just thinking about it. Fine, you win. Tang Zheng was helpless. This is what you forced me to do. Yi Dingdang was incomparably happy. Then quickly tell me, how do you know people from the underworld? Tang Zheng then told her about himself, Lin Hu, and Boss Fan. When Yi Dingdang heard that he actually went to the underworld, her jaw almost dropped. No wonder you would provoke Huang Ziang. You actually went to the underworld. Yi Dingdang said in disbelief, You really have a lot of guts. Tang Zheng said that he had no other choice but to do so. However, he did not mention that he did it to save his grandfather. I've said all that I need to say. I'll go back first. Tang Zheng said his goodbyes. Just as his voice fell, Yi Dingdang's cell phone rang. Feng Xinyan, why are you calling me? Yi Dingdang picked up the phone and asked. Suddenly, her eyebrows rose as she said, What? Is this true? She was dumbstruck as she hung up the phone. She was still in shock. Hey, are you possessed? What happened? Tang Zheng curiously asked. Yi Dingdang looked at him with mixed feelings. After a while, she said, Song Yu has returned to Beijing. He's so fast? That's good. Now that he's gone back, I'll be free. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. Hey, aren't you curious why he left in such a hurry? Previously, Song Yu still had an attitude of not giving up. So quickly there was an earth-shattering change. It would be strange if there wasn't something fishy going on. Tang Zheng's head moved. He was also slightly astonished. However, he did not want to delve into it. As long as there was nothing to do with him in the future, everything would be fine. You slowly think about it. I don't care. I'll go back first. Tang Zheng waved his hand. He was about to leave when Yi Dingdang pulled him back. You're not allowed to leave. My dad invited you to his house. It's already dark. Another day. No, my dad said that he must invite you back. If you don't go, I won't be able to report back. Yi Dingdang said as she immediately stopped the taxi and pulled him in. Half an hour later, the two were sitting in the Ye family's living room. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyan sat in front of the two. Yi Tianlei's face was especially serious as he asked, What happened tonight? It seems like Song Yu was quite afraid and left ordinary balance without stopping. When the husband and wife found out about this news, they could not hide their surprise and doubt. Nothing big happened in Beijing, so something big must have happened in ordinary balance. Otherwise, with Song Yu's personality, he would not do such an abnormal thing. Yi Dingdang was unable to contain her joy as she said, Wah, it's best that they left. Now I can have some peace. As for what happened today, it was very interesting. Yi Dingdang was beaming with joy as she chattered on about what happened today. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyan looked at each other at the same time. You're saying that it's possible that they left because they saw Tang Zheng make a move? Yi Tianlei asked in a deep voice. No matter how he heard it, he felt that this conclusion was too inconceivable. Yi Dingdang hurriedly nodded and said, Definitely. You don't know what expression Qin Lao had at that time. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Yi Dingdang, don't speak nonsense. Qin Lao is a 5th grade natal stage cultivator. How could he be scared away by me? Tang Zheng also felt that this was inconceivable. 5th grade natal stage? How did you see through his cultivation? Feng Xinyan was shocked and impatiently asked. Tang Zheng sucked in a breath of cold air. In a moment of desperation, he actually said Qin Lao's cultivation. How could Yi Tianlei and his wife not be shocked? Chapter 78. Seeing the Yef family staring at him, as if he was a monster, he quickly came up with an idea and said, "My master taught me a trick that allows me to see through other people's cultivation. You're only a third-grade refining body, but you can even see through a fifth-grade natal stage cultivator. You." Lei could no longer find the right words to describe it as he struggled for a long time before sighing. "You're really too powerful. It's my master that's powerful." Tang Zheng continued to push everything onto his groundless master. Yi Ding-Dang curled her lips and muttered, "It's abnormal." Yi Tianlei ignored Yi Ding-Dang and continued to say, "Just now Ding-Dang said you used a set of sword techniques. What kind of sword technique was it?" "Heaven Flying Immortal," Tang Zheng truthfully said. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang looked at each other and slowly shook their heads. It was clear that the two of them had never heard of this set of sword techniques. "This set of sword techniques of yours must be very powerful. Otherwise Qin Lao would not have such a reaction. But why did they leave in such a hurry?" Yi Tianlei was puzzled. "Who cares? It's best that they left. Now I can have some peace," Yi Ding-Dang casually said. Yi Tianlei said in a deep voice, "How could it be that simple? But this matter is too strange. We can only wait and see." They would never have thought that those two people were scared away by Yi Ding-Dong's set of sword techniques. Qin Lao was even more worried about the person who taught Tang Zheng the set of sword techniques. Feng Xinyang changed the topic and said, "Little handsome brother, you went to fight in the underground boxing ring to raise money for your grandfather's medical fees, right? Why go through so much trouble? I already said that no matter how much money you need, our family will support you." Tang Zheng smiled and said, "Thank you for your good intentions. The matter has already been resolved. How is your grandfather's body?" Feng Xinyang secretly shook her head. This little handsome brother was good at everything, but sometimes he was too stubborn. But because of his stubbornness, she felt that he was as different as heaven and earth compared to normal people. This made her even more satisfied. "My grandfather's illness has already been cured." Cured? Feng Xinyang and Yi Tianlei were shocked. The doctor had already sentenced him to death. How could he be cured in just a few days? "Is he really cured?" Yi Tianlei asked. "Yes." "Then congratulations," Yi Tianlei said. "I wonder how the old man got better. He looked so serious back then." Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment and said, "I cured. You cured him?" The three members of the Ye family couldn't help but cry out in surprise, especially Yi Ding-Dang, who stared at him in disbelief. "Tang Zheng, you can't brag. When did you know how to treat illnesses?" Yi Tianlei, on the other hand, did not have any suspicions as he thought back to the time when Tang Zheng helped him unblock his meridians. Other doctors were helpless, but in front of Tang Zheng, it was simply a piece of cake. At that time, he already guessed that Tang Zheng had medical skills. Now that it was confirmed, he wasn't too surprised. He only sighed in his heart. Tang Zheng gave them too many surprises. Feng Xinyang's beautiful eyes turned and said, "Little handsome brother, I didn't expect your medical skills to be so good. It really is amazing." "Aunt Feng is too kind," Tang Zheng modestly said. This was all thanks to the life-continuing pill. This was already beyond the scope of ordinary medical skills. Yi Tianlei's heart suddenly moved. He couldn't help but think of his family's old man. The old man didn't have much time left. Since Tang Zheng could cure Tang Dahai, then could he also cure the old man? He was shocked by his own guess, but he also faintly looked forward to it. It was like a drowning person grabbing onto a life-saving straw. "Tang Zheng, since your medical skills are so good, I have a presumptuous request," Yi Tianlei excitedly said. Feng Xinyang looked at him and immediately understood his thoughts. She immediately thought of a possibility. If the old man could get better, then there would be no need for him to marry into the Song family. Ding Dong's crisis would be easily solved. Although they had Tang Zheng pretend to be Yi Ding Dong's fiancé, a smart person could see that this was just a show. Song Yu was a smart person, so he had already seen through it. He just didn't say it out loud. Although the old man didn't say anything, he definitely wouldn't sit idly by. Once he decided on something, it would be hard to change it unless there was a major change. This change was to let him recover. Although Yi Tianlei had already left Beijing, the blood that flowed in his body was still the blood of the Ye family. Feng Xinyang was very clear about her husband's personality. Although she had said in a fit of pique that she might as well stay in ordinary balance and not return to Beijing, and Yi Tianlei didn't express any objections, Feng Xinyang was very clear about what he was thinking in his heart. In the end, he wanted to return to the Ye family and didn't want his relationship with the old man to be too stiff. If the old man's illness could be cured and Yi Tianlei became a Xiantian martial artist, then everything would be fine. Uncle Yi, I was just lucky. Actually, I don't know much about medicine. Tang Zheng had already guessed the other party's intentions. Yi Tianlei shook his head and said, "No matter. Listen to me first. My family has a patient who had an accident while practicing martial arts. He doesn't have much time left. Do you have a way to cure him?" I haven't seen the patient's situation, so I can't make a judgment. Tang Zheng said awkwardly. "That's right. I will think of a way to arrange for you two to meet." Yi Tianlei said, full of expectation. Tang Zheng was helpless. How could he have any medical skills? It seemed like he was going to be exposed. He quickly said, "Uncle Yi, I'll tell you the truth. I really don't know much about medicine. I'm afraid I will disappoint Uncle Yi." "No problem. Just your best." Seeing Tang Zheng being so modest, Yi Tianlei was filled with even more expectation. The more modest a person was, the more ability they had. He didn't know that Tang Zheng wasn't being modest and was just speaking the truth. All right then. Since it had come to this point, Tang Zheng could only agree and bid farewell before leaving. "Tianlei, are you really going to let Tang Zheng try?" Feng Xinyang asked seriously. "Yes, maybe this is a hope." The silent Yi Dingdang finally couldn't help but say, "Dad, how can Tang Zheng's medical skills be good? Medical skills need to be accumulated over time. How old is he? I've never heard of him having any medical skills before. Sometimes there are miracles in this world. Moreover, did you know that his martial arts were so good?" Yi Tianlei asked back. Yi Dingdang opened her mouth but couldn't say anything to refute. "Don't tell me you want to invite Tang Zheng to Beijing?" Feng Xinyang asked. "How can we do that? Right now, he is at the crucial point of the exam. We can't lower our guard. Moreover, we are the ones asking for help. I will think of a way to invite the old man to ordinary balance." Feng Xinyang curled her lips and said, "Can you invite him?" Yi Tianlei forced a smile. To be honest, he didn't have 100% confidence. The old man's thoughts were hard to guess. Yi Tianlei's phone rang. He immediately made a shushing gesture and said in a low voice, "The old man is calling." "Hello, Dad. What are you looking for me for?" Yi Tianlei respectfully asked. "Tianlei, what are you doing? I heard that something went wrong with the marriage I arranged for Dingdang." A dignified voice came from the phone. Just listening to this voice gave people a sense of oppression. "Dad, there's indeed something wrong with this matter." I think you're deliberately messing around. When did Dingdang have a fiancée? How come I didn't know?" The old man's tone carried a bit of anger. Feng Xinyang moved her mouth and was about to refute when she saw her husband continuously giving her a look. Only then did she swallow the words that were about to come out of her mouth. "Dad, I didn't have time to tell you about this matter." "What are you talking about?" "This is clearly because you didn't agree to the marriage I arranged. That's why you created this mess. Don't think that I'm old and muddle-headed. I don't know anything, and you're trying to fool me." "Old man, the engagement is real." The more Feng Xinyang listened, the angrier she became. Finally, she opened her mouth. "What is real? What I don't know is fake." Dingdang is a member of the Ye family. Without the consent of the head of the Ye family, nothing can count, the old man said angrily. Seeing that Feng Xinyang insisted that the marriage was real, Yi Tianlei was helpless. He could only agree with the husband and wife and said, "Dad, don't be angry. This matter is indeed our fault. We didn't inform you in advance. But what is done is done. There is no way to change it." "Tianlei, you want to fool me?" "No, Dad. I happen to have something to ask you. Can you come to ordinary balance?" Yi Tianlei quickly changed the topic. "Why do you want me to go to ordinary balance? There are a lot of things in Beijing. I have to arrange them before I leave this world. How can I have the leisure to go to ordinary balance?" "Dad, This is very important. Yi Tianlei advised, I met a genius doctor. He may have a way to cure your body. Haha, genius doctor, what a joke. I have seen too many genius doctors in this world. No one has a way to cure my body. You have been deceived, and you still don't know. Humph, I see that you haven't made much progress in these years. The old man said with a bit of banter. Yi Tianlei was like an ancient well without ripples, but Feng Xinyang couldn't bear it anymore. How could she bear to talk about her husband like this? But Yi Tianlei's eyes were sharp, and his hands were quick. He immediately grabbed her hand and finally stopped her from flipping out. Dad, this genius doctor may have a way. Yi Tianlei didn't give up and advised. There's no need to say anymore. Let me tell you, Tianlei, Ding Dong's marriage cannot be changed. As for the matter of that fiancé you guys created, I'll give you 3 days to settle it. The old Gramps gave the final ultimatum before hanging up the phone. How could he do this? Yi Ding finally exploded. Her eyes were red and full of grievances and indignation. Marriage is related to my life's happiness. It can't be decided by his words. Ding Dang, there are many things that are not up to the family. Yi Tianlei sighed. Not up to the family. I, Feng Xinyang, will never do things that I don't want to do. My daughter also won't. The old man wants to break off this marriage. No way. Even if it's fake, I will do it for real. Ding Dang, work harder and win over this little handsome guy. If you really can't, then we will really cook the rice. Feng Xinyang said resolutely. Yi Ding Dong's eyes kept changing. It seems that although she and Tang Zheng stayed in the same room last time, the experienced Feng Xinyang still guessed that nothing happened between the two. Chapter 79. Boss Fan dejectedly stood in front of Huang Xiang with his arm wrapped in bandages. He miserably said, Young Master Huang, you have to help me. Lin Hu and Tang Zheng are together, and they don't even put me in their eyes. They don't even put young Master Huang in their eyes. If this kind of person stays in ordinary balance, he will only be a disaster in the future. Huang Zhang's face was ashen as he coldly said, It's Tang Zheng again. His heroic spirit really won't disperse. Yes, this little brat's martial arts are very strange. Young Master Huang, only you can suppress them. Otherwise, they will flip the heavens. Boss Fan instigated. This time he had suffered a great loss, so of course he wanted to get back at them. But when he thought of Tang Zheng's ghostly skills, he felt a burst of fear. He could only ask Huang Xiang for help. Good, very good. Huang Xiang clenched his fists as his bones cracked. Boss Fan was shocked as this time he came to find Huang Xiang. He felt that the other party's aura had undergone a great change, and there was a heavy feeling of yin qi. Young Master Huang, then when are you going to make your move? Make my move? Huang Xiang smiled evilly. When my godly technique reaches large success, it will be the time of their death. Godly technique? Boss Fan was shocked as he looked at him in bewilderment. Then how long will it take? It won't take long. Long. Haven't you noticed that my martial arts have increased by quite a bit? Boss Fan felt uncomfortable from Huang Zhang's strange smile as he trembled with fear and said, I just felt that young Master Huang was different from before. I wonder what realm young Master Huang's martial arts have reached? 7th grade, refining body. Huang Xiang proudly said. Boss Fan's eyes instantly became round. In just a few days, he actually broke through from the 6th grade refining body to the 7th grade refining body. Just what kind of mysterious martial arts did he obtain? Boss Fan really wanted to ask clearly, but he swallowed his words back. He wasn't stupid enough to ask such an idiotic question. Congratulations, young Master Huang. Boss Fan immediately changed his expression as he respectfully said, I have a premonition that I will break through in a few days. When I reach the Hotian realm, it will be the time of their deaths. Huang Xiang solemnly vowed. Big Head Fan's heart trembled. What kind of divine technique was this? How could it progress so quickly? A cold light flickered in Huang Xiang's eyes. He was incomparably pleased with himself. Although he had suffered a loss at the hands of Tang Zheng, he had obtained his cultivation technique. This was a huge advantage. At first, he was worried that this cultivation technique was fake, but after trying to cultivate it, He really made tremendous progress in a single day. He no longer had any doubts and believed that the day of his great success was just around the corner. He did not expect that this set of exercises was carefully improved by Tian Shanzi. Even if it was a master, it would be difficult to see the flaws, let alone him who was only at the body refining stage. Although this set of martial arts allowed one to progress rapidly in the early stages, it had a huge side effect. The higher one's cultivation, the greater the side effect. Currently, his body was emitting a heavy yin qi, which was one of the side effects. But his heart had long been blinded, so it was difficult for him to notice. In addition, Tian Shanzi had also left a fatal weakness in this set of exercises. But even if Huang Xiang racked his brains, he would never have thought of it. Tang Zheng did not know that Boss Fan had gone to complain to Huang Xiang. He also did not have the heart to pay attention to these matters. Currently, he was outside of Qiao Fei's villa. The villa was completely dark, and not a single person was present. He asked around and found out that the Qiao family had taken Qiao Fei to the capital to treat her illness. Qiao Mu had sent people to assassinate him. So how could Tang Zheng sit idly by and do nothing? So this time, he specifically came to take revenge. But they actually ran so fast and avoided this calamity. You can hide for a while, but you can't hide forever. There will be a day when you will come back. Tang Zheng silently left. The next day, Tang Zheng arrived at school early in the morning, but found that Fang Shishir was already sitting in her seat. Her eyes were red. He was very surprised and quickly asked with concern, "Shishir, what's wrong? Did you not sleep well last night?" Fang Shishir looked at him pitifully. She really did not sleep well last night. She dreamt that she broke up with Tang Zheng, so she cried in her sleep. When she woke up this morning, she found that her eyes were red. "Shishir, don't scare me. What happened?" Since the two met, this was the first time he saw her like this. He could not help but be shocked. "Did someone bully you?" Fang Shishir did not nod or shake her head. She just looked at him like a fool, as if she wanted to imprint his appearance in her heart. But the more she acted like this, the more uneasy Tang Zheng felt. He quickly held her hand and comforted her. "You have me. No matter what happens, I will be here. Don't be like this, okay? Just say something, okay? Were you with Yi Ding Dang last night?" Fang Shishir bit her lips and asked hesitantly. Tang Zheng subconsciously wanted to deny it, but when he saw her red eyes, he could not say the words. He nodded and said, "Yes, she asked me for help." "What is it?" Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment, as he was not prepared to talk about this matter, because it was fake after all. But sometimes a fake play would cause a lot of trouble. But looking at Fang Shishir's appearance, he had no choice but to say it. "Shishir, listen to me. It's like this." He slowly explained the entire story of how Yi Ding Dang had asked him to be her fake fiancé. Fang Shishir's complexion visibly improved by quite a bit. Why would she ask someone for help? She faintly said. With her personality, it was very difficult for her to do such a thing. She had no choice and was forced to do it. Tang Zheng explained. Fang Shishir let out a sigh of relief and said, "I'm sorry, I wronged you." Girls in love were very sensitive. Moreover, Fang Shishir knew how outstanding Tang Zheng was, so she was afraid that someone would steal him away. This was a sign of insecurity. Most girls would have it, and Fang Shishir was not an exception. "Silly girl, it's okay. This is all my fault for not telling you in advance." Tang Zheng touched her porcelain-like face and said with a smile, "Don't be like this. Other people are watching." Fang Shishir was incomparably shy. This was a classroom, and such an intimate action made her heart flutter. "Let them see. Let them be jealous," Tang Zheng mischievously said. Fang Shishir immediately lowered her head. Her face was like a ripe apple, and she softly said, "Scoundrel." This coquettish look made the others unable to bear it. How could Tang Zheng have such good luck? Such a delicate and beautiful little flower fell into his hands. Tang Zheng laughed loudly, incomparably happy. "Yo, it's so early in the morning. What are you so happy about?" Yiding Dong's curious voice rang out. Feng Yong also walked in and asked, "Boss, what's the good news?" "It's better to share it with everyone than to share it alone." Tang Zheng chuckled. This kind of thing can only be shared. Once again, Fang Shishir gave him a coquettish look. Yi Dingdang saw this and fell into deep thought. Feng Yong did not understand and desperately asked, "Boss, don't say such profound words. Tell me, what are you so happy about?" Tang Zheng chuckled and glanced at Fang Shishir. Fang Shishir was extremely embarrassed and said, "Feng Yong, it's none of your business." Feng Yong was not an idiot. His eyes lit up and he understood. Sister-in-law, I understand. I won't ask any more. The word sister-in-law made Fang Shishir embarrassed, but in front of so many people, she could not say anything. The key point was that this sister-in-law seemed to give her status and also seemed to give her courage. Yes, she was Tang Zheng's girlfriend. Yi Dingdang could only stand to the side. She lightly coughed and straightened her chest. She glanced at Yi Dingdang and said to Tang Zheng, "In the future, if there's anything between the two of you, you have to tell me. It's fine in the future. Her matter has been settled." Tang Zheng hurriedly said. Sonya had already returned to the capital. Tang Zheng, this fake fiancé, naturally did not need to continue acting. Fang Shishir's eyes lit up. Since the matter had been settled, then there was no need for him to have so much contact with Yi Dingdang in the future. She decided to spend more time with him. Yi Dingdang saw that Tang Zheng was eager to cut ties with her. She also saw that he was so protective of Fang Shishir, so her heart was moved. She felt a little jealous and unhappy. It's not like I'm an ugly person, so why do I seem like a dog skin plaster in his eyes? He can't wait to get rid of me. What part of me is worse than Fang Shishir? Yi Dingdang silently cursed. Women are all proud, especially beautiful women. The two of them were named the two school beauties. Before, it was fine if they did not have any contact. Now that they had contact, and because of Tang Zheng, Yi Dingdang felt a sense of defeat. How could she endure this kind of thing? Yi Dingdang suddenly remembered that Feng Xinyang said to make the act real. She mysteriously said, "Tang Zheng, I have something to talk to you about tonight." Tang Zheng asked in astonishment, "Didn't Sonya leave? My mission has already been completed. What else is there? As for other things, you'll know when the time comes." Fang Shishir's nerves suddenly jumped. A girl's sixth sense instantly kicked in. She stared straight at Yi Dingdang and said, "Tang Zheng, stay with me tonight," she said as she held onto Tang Zheng's hand. Tang Zheng was not an idiot, so he immediately felt the strange atmosphere between the two. His face turned into a bitter melon color. What was going on? "Will you promise me?" Yi Dingdang asked. "Stay with me. I am your girlfriend. Accompanying me is right and proper." Fang Shishir argued with a strong sense of righteousness. What's so great about being a girlfriend? Everything has a first come, first serve. I said it first. Yi Dingdang argued. Fang Shishir's eyes immediately widened. Yi Dingdang's attitude was too obvious. She was clearly challenging her. How could she endure this? This is a girlfriend's privilege. Don't you know? Tang Zheng, stay with me tonight, okay? Fang Shishir smiled at Tang Zheng, making his heart tremble. Tang Zheng bitterly smiled. The two girls were fighting and he was the fish in the pond. No matter who he agreed to it, he would not have a good time in the future. Suddenly, Lu Qingmei walked in. His eyes lit up and said, "Tonight, teacher Lu called me to make up lessons. I haven't made up lessons for several days. If I skip today, she will definitely flip out." The two girls had no other choice. They could only unwillingly look at each other. Chapter 80. After school, Lu Qingmei was flabbergasted at Tang Zheng, who was hastily getting into his car and asked, "Why are you so enthusiastic about making up lessons today?" Tang Zheng gave an embarrassed smile as he glanced at the rear-view mirror. Fang Shishir and Yi Dingdang were standing not far behind. Just now, the two of them had almost gotten into an argument over him. Tang Zheng was in a dilemma as he finally understood the feeling of sitting on pins and needles. Right now, he was eager to follow Lu Qingmei to make up lessons, even though she was not a kind person and wanted to pry into his secrets. "Teacher Lu, your good intentions. How could I disappoint you?" Tang Zheng said against his will. Lu Qingmei did not think too much about it and returned to her house in a short while. As usual, she ate dinner and began making up lessons. In a short 1 hour, Tang Zheng had no choice but to raise his spirits and pretend to be ignorant, even though he had already memorized most of the knowledge. This time, he came prepared and did not let Lu Qingmei gain too much. She unconsciously wrinkled her eyebrows and said, "Let's stop here for today and continue tomorrow." She stretched her waist, causing her full breast to stand proudly. The scenery was enchanting. Tang Zheng glanced at them, and his heart trembled. Lu Qingmei's eyes turned cold as she fiercely glared at him. He quickly lowered his head and said, "Teacher Lu, I'll be leaving first." Lu Qingmei was about to agree when a knocking sound came from the door. She immediately wrinkled her eyebrows, as no one had ever come to her house before. So, who was knocking? The answer was quickly revealed as she saw a person standing at the door, Song Donghua, the mayor's secretary. Tang Zheng and Song Donghua had met once at the police station, so they could be considered acquaintances. When Song Donghua saw Tang Zheng behind Lu Qingmei, he unconsciously wrinkled his eyebrows before relaxing and giving a faint smile, looking cultured and refined. Song Donghua was around 30 years old and was at the age when a man was most charming. His gentle and refined appearance could charm many young girls. However, Lu Qingmei acted as if she didn't see it. Instead, she said unhappily, "Secretary Song, what are you doing here?" Song Donghua smiled and said, "Miss Lu, I was just passing by, so I thought I'd take a look. I hope I won't disturb you." He then nodded towards Tang Zheng. "Classmate Tang Zheng, we meet again." Tang Zheng was slightly surprised that the other party still remembered his name. Tang Zheng nodded slightly, which could be considered as a greeting. He then bid farewell to Lu Qingmei and left, not caring about what else they had to do. But he had a feeling that after Lu Qingmei saw Song Donghua, her attitude became much colder. Tang Zheng carried his backpack and walked in the night. He took a deep breath as his mind raced. Since the Qiao family had left, his main task was to cultivate. Moreover, the most important thing was to ignite his fire seed so that he could refine pills and quickly increase his strength. Without the help of the pills, although his power was still increasing, the speed was a lot slower. He had seen Old Man Qin's deep hostility towards him, so he subconsciously felt a sense of crisis. He always felt that there would be danger approaching. Moreover, there was still that mysterious demon clan. He had destroyed their curse technique, so he didn't know if they would come for revenge. All in all, the pressure on his body was not small, but it was not as urgent as when he saved his grandfather. Beep beep. Suddenly, the sound of a horn came from behind him, and a car stopped beside him. Song Donghua stuck out half his head and said, "Classmate Tang Zheng, I'll send you home." "No need. My home is not far, so I can walk back." "Get in the car. I'm free anyway." Song Donghua opened the car door without any explanation. It was difficult to refuse such kindness, so Tang Zheng could only get in the car. Song Donghua's driving was very steady and not in a hurry. This temperament that was honed from working in a government department could be seen. Song Donghua unobtrusively asked about Tang Zheng's studies and his life, and the topic of conversation inadvertently changed to Lu Qingmei. "Teacher Lu is really a good teacher, giving you tutoring so late at night." "Yes." Tang Zheng nodded his head in agreement. Although Lu Qingmei was a bit cold, she was still a qualified teacher, the old which was not even fit to carry her shoes. "I wonder what Teacher Lu's hobbies are?" Song Donghua casually asked. Even though he tried his best to hide it, as if it was a normal conversation, Tang Zheng was still able to hear something different. He said without batting an eyelid, "You guys are friends, so you should know this better than me." Song Donghua embarrassedly smiled and said, "Of course I know this, but I don't know about her life in school. Can you tell me more about it?" Tang Zheng's heart moved. This person seemed to be very interested in Lu Qingmei. Originally, Tang Zheng thought that they were friends, but it was clear that their relationship was not that close. However, he also deliberately wanted to understand Lu Qingmei, so the answer was obvious. "Little brat, he wants to flirt with your teacher." Tian Chanzi rushed to speak first, exposing Song Donghua's thoughts. Tang Zheng laughed involuntarily and could not help but say to Tian Chanzi, Tian Chanzi, are you an expert cultivator? You even know the word flirt. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. I'm not a rigid old antique. Tian Chanzi explained, little brat. Lu Qingmei has a rare, mysterious body. You can't let her be snatched away from your hands. Now that your cultivation is progressing day by day, you need more pure yin qi. Right now, this kind of sneaky method of absorbing pure yin qi is no longer of much use to you. Tian Chanzi had already subconsciously placed Lu Qingmei in Tang Zheng's list of prey. Tang Zheng already knew what he was thinking and retorted, Song Donghua is mature, so what can I use to compete with him? Moreover, Lu Qingmei is so much older than me. How could she be interested in a student like me? You little brat actually belittled yourself. Haven't you heard of the saying? Age is not a problem, and height is not a distance. Moreover, the difference between the two of you is only a few years. You are now a cultivator, and your lifespan is not the same as a normal person's. Don't use a normal person's thinking to think about problems. Tian Chanzi patiently lectured. I can't win against you. Tang Zheng's traditional education from a young age clearly could not keep up with Tian Chanzi's unconstrained thinking, so he simply did not want to argue with him. However, Tian Chanzi's words made him unable to ignore it. With the increase in his cultivation came a lack of pure yin qi. This was indeed a problem, and he did not want his body to explode. Student Tang Zheng, what are you thinking about? Seeing that Tang Zheng did not reply, Song Donghua frowned and asked, Nothing. Tang Zheng came back to his senses. Then can you tell me more about Teacher Lu at school? Song Donghua continued to ask. Since Song Donghua wanted to chase after Lu Qingmei, Tang Zheng did not want to give him any information, so he perfunctorily said, He is no different from other teachers. There is nothing much to say. I've arrived, thank you. Song Donghua had no choice but to stop the car. Seeing Tang Zheng's figure disappear into the distance, his face gradually sank. He really did want to chase after Lu Qingmei. Other than her beauty, the most important thing was her background. Others did not know of her background, but he had heard of it from the mayor. He could not help but feel a surge of emotions. So Lu Qingmei was actually the daughter of the governor. However, she had always kept a low profile and very few people knew of her true identity. Song Donghua seized the opportunity and naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity. He had climbed up step by step from the bottom and was able to reach where he was today. However, the most important thing in politics was to have a backer. Although he had the mayor as his backer, this was not a guarantee. He wanted to rely on a towering tree, and the governor was obviously the best choice. If he was able to become the son-in-law of the governor's family, then his career would be smooth sailing and he would have a meteoric rise. During this period of time, he had fiercely pursued Lu Qingmei. He had even invited her to dinner and implicitly expressed his love for her. However, he never thought that Lu Qingmei would be indifferent to his advances. From then on, she became cold towards him. Of course, he would not give up, but he also did not continue to pester her. After all, after being in politics for so many years, which one of them was not experienced and naturally had their own methods? This time, he had taken the initiative to visit Lu Qingmei in order to create more opportunities for them to interact. However, he did not expect that things would not go so smoothly. He did not even manage to enter Lu Qingmei's house before being shut out by Lu Qingmei using the excuse of resting. Afterwards, he thought of Tang Zheng. Lu Qingmei was very fond of Tang Zheng. Not only did she cause a ruckus at the police station for him, she even gave him extra lessons. Thus, he prepared to use Tang Zheng as a breakthrough. However, he did not expect that Tang Zheng would be unmoved. He did not even manage to obtain any useful information. He unwillingly glared at Tang Zheng's back before driving away. He would not give up. For his career, he had to obtain the beauty. In the following days, Tang Zheng once again returned to his peaceful life. During the day, he would attend classes, and at night he would train. Over time, his cultivation had increased by quite a bit. The qi in his 9 main meridians had already reached 3 inches and 3 parts. A blazing energy surged through his body, and his body was like a large furnace as the temperature slowly increased. He gradually realized that the danger that Tian Chanzi had mentioned had appeared. In the past, the pure yin energy he absorbed was enough to offset the pure yang energy. However, as his cultivation improved, the pure yin energy he absorbed was obviously not enough. Tian Chanzi had repeatedly urged him to eat fang shi or yi ding dang. Of course, it would be even better if he could eat Lu Qingmei. However, all of this was not as simple as Tian Chanzi thought. During this period of time, he and Fang Shi had become much more intimate. They would occasionally kiss, but he never took the final step because he simply did not have the time. As soon as school was over, he would be dragged away by Lu Qingmei, not giving him any chance to skip class. Early in the morning, Tang Zheng walked to the school gate with a heavy heart. Suddenly, a person appeared in front of him, and he almost bumped into him. Just as he was about to say sorry, his gaze was involuntarily attracted by the other party. An old man in a Tang suit stood in front of him with a walking stick in his hand and stared straight at him. Suddenly, Tang Zheng's hair stood on end. He felt like he was being stared at by a tiger. This feeling was not good. That sharp gaze made him feel like he had nowhere to hide. Chapter 81. You are Tang Zheng? The old man's voice was not loud, but when it reached Tang Zheng's ears, it was like thunder, shaking his heart. Tang Zheng calmed his mind and said, "That's me." The old man's eyes flashed with surprise as he said, "In the future, you should stay away from Ding Dang. Otherwise, you will regret it endlessly." Tang Zheng suspiciously looked at the other and said, "What do you mean? From today onwards, you must stay away from Ding Dang." The old man decisively said. Tang Zheng did not know the identity of the other party, but to have him leave Ding Dang so early in the morning without any rhyme or reason made him feel baffled. Moreover, the other party displayed such a shocking power that if it was an ordinary person, they would probably tremble in fear. But Tang Zheng was not an ordinary person. He felt that the other party was unreasonable. Even if the other party was an old man, his face gradually became ugly. He suppressed his anger and said, "The matter between me and Ding Dang does not need other people to tell us what to do." The old man's eyes turned cold. "No one can bargain with me. That is because you have not met me before." Tang Zheng retorted. "Interesting. Today's youngsters do not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Then I will represent your parents to teach you a lesson." Tang Zheng's pupils shrank. His parents were his grandfather, and no one could replace his grandfather. Moreover, the other party clearly did not come with good intentions, so he naturally would not be polite. "Tian Chanzi, what is this person's cultivation level?" Tang Zheng asked. Tian Chanzi hesitated for a moment and said, "Ninth grade, Xiantian realm." There's only a fine line separating him from the great scholar realm. Ninth grade, Xiantian realm. Tang Zheng's heart trembled. He was only a third grade refining qi, and there was an insurmountable gap between him and the ninth grade Xiantian realm. Who is he? Since he is such an expert, why did he come and make things difficult for me? He subconsciously thought of Song Yu. Could it be that this person was a member of the Song family? Qin Lao and Song Yu hurriedly left. Could this person have come for them? But even if they were from the Song family, they couldn't be so unreasonable. Seeing Tang Zheng's expression change, the old man thought that he was afraid and said, "It's too late for you to promise me now. For so many years, no one has ever dared to speak to me like this. You're the first. How can I not teach you a lesson?" As soon as he finished speaking, he stretched out his hand and grabbed Tang Zheng's shoulder. His hand was no different from the hands of an ordinary old man, with wrinkles and even age spots. However, it was this almost withered hand that gave Tang Zheng endless pressure. It was like a ghost's hand reaching out from hell, suffocating him. Tang Zheng hastily retreated, but the hand followed him like a shadow. Even though it moved later, it arrived first and grabbed onto Tang Zheng's shoulder. "In front of me, all your efforts are futile. I know you're a warrior, but how can you escape from my grasp with your insignificant skills?" The old man said as he squeezed hard. "Kacha!" With a crisp sound, Tang Zheng felt as if his bones were about to crack, and a heart-wrenching pain spread throughout his body. Tang Zheng couldn't help but groan in pain. Using his hand as a sword, Shua, he stabbed directly at the old man. The heavenly flying deity's sword technique suddenly erupted, and an invisible sword intent spread out. E. The old man let out a cry of surprise, but his hand still didn't move. His arm shook, and pong, Tang Zhang's hand that had pierced over was forcefully bounced back. A piercing pain spread from his fingertips. As the saying went, the 10 fingers were connected to the heart, so it was obvious how intense this pain was. The old man's mouth twitched slightly, and his eyes became increasingly gloomy. Although he could see that this sword technique was extraordinary, he didn't believe that the other party could hurt him, because the gap between the two of them was insurmountable. But the moment Tang Zheng hit him, a piercing pain spread from his arm. For so many years, there were very few attacks that could make him feel this kind of pain. Moreover, it was caused by someone with such a large gap between him and himself. It was simply inconceivable. Boy, you're not his opponent. I already told you to deal with those girls, and then quickly increase your strength. You wouldn't be in such a sorry state. Quickly find a chance to escape. Tian Chanzi urged anxiously. How can I escape? His hand is like a pair of pliers. Tang Zheng was at his wit's end. You idiot, quickly use the immobilization technique. Tian Chanzi urged. Tang Zheng really wanted to slap his head. He was really muddle-headed. If martial arts were useless, he could still use magic. However, he had never used the immobilization technique and didn't know if it would work on a 9th grade innate stage expert. He was just about to use the immobilization technique to escape when he suddenly heard a cry of surprise, and then a figure unexpectedly arrived like the wind. Let go of Tang Zheng. It was Feng Xinyang's anxious voice. The old man was unmoved. He coldly looked at Feng Xinyang and said, You've come. Feng Xinyang's complexion was not good. She was anxious, and between her eyebrows there was a faint trace of fear. All this time, Tang Zheng had only seen a calm and indifferent expression on her face. He had never seen her like this. Old man, Tang Zheng is the benefactor of the Ye family. You must not hurt him. Feng Xinyang anxiously stopped him. The old man coldly said, Benefactor? How come I didn't know that the Ye family had such a benefactor? He's only a prop for your show. Prop? Tang Zheng's complexion sank. Although he was not some big shot, he was not some broken prop. Since Feng Xinyang knew the old man, he also gave up on the idea of using the immobilization technique. You're so unreasonable. Aren't you just relying on the fact that you're older and stronger than me to bully the weak and bully others? If I'm a prop, then what are you? You can't even compare to a prop. You're just a stubborn old man. Tang Zheng was truly angry. He was a good young man who respected the old and loved the young. But being bullied by this old man time and time again had finally aroused his unyielding nature and anger. He did not care about the other's identity or cultivation. In any case, they were not the same kind of people. He would just curse them back first. Young people needed to be unyielding. Otherwise, what was the point of being like an old man who was worried about everything? His voice was not soft. Immediately, the surroundings quieted down. It was like the densest forest, without even a trace of wind. Feng Xinyang was stunned. She looked at him inexplicably with a complicated expression. There were too many things in her eyes that were completely indescribable. Yi Dingdang, who had hurriedly rushed over, stumbled, and almost fell to the ground. Her mouth was wide open in shock, enough to stuff a duck egg inside. The old man was also stunned. It seemed like he could not believe his ears. Someone actually called him a prop, and called him a stubborn old man. He wondered if there was something wrong with this world. Of course, there was nothing wrong with this world. There was nothing wrong with Tang Zheng. This was what he wanted to say the most in his heart, so he said it without hesitation. You're courting death. The old man suddenly flew into a rage. He suddenly raised a crutch he had been holding and pointed it at Tang Zheng's chest. This crutch was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. As long as he was hit, even if Tang Zheng was a cultivator, he would die without a doubt. Tang Zheng did not even have time to use the body freezing technique. He could only stare blankly as the crutch came closer and closer. Don't! At this critical moment, Feng Xinyang roared and bravely stepped forward. Pooh! The crutch hit Feng Xinyang's shoulder. The crutch paused for a moment, and blood spurted out from Feng Xinyang's back. This attack, her shoulder was directly pierced through by this force. One could imagine how terrifying this attack was. Feng Xinyang groaned, but did not retreat. Instead, she was like a sturdy city wall blocking in front of Tang Zheng. Feng Xinyang was a first-grade natal stage cultivator, and the old man was a ninth-grade natal stage cultivator. Although they were both ninth-grade natal stage cultivators, the gap between the two was still difficult to overcome. Feng Xinyang did not have time to resist and could only use her body to resist. Even if she gathered all her strength to resist, it was still not enough. However, seeing that Tang Zheng was not injured, she heaved a sigh of relief. The old man's expression was uncertain. He fiercely stared at Feng Xinyang and said, "You actually did not hesitate to fight against me for him?" Feng Xinyang endured the pain and gritted her teeth. "Old man, Tang Zheng is the Ye family's benefactor. I can't just stand by and watch him get injured. You're not allowed to hurt my mother." Yi Dingdang came back to her senses and rushed over like a madwoman. In her excitement, she did not call out Feng Xinyang's name, but called her mother. She directly rushed towards the old man and threw out her fists again and again, launching an attack without any regard for her own safety. A strange light flashed through the old man's eyes. He finally had no choice but to let go of Tang Zheng. With a sweep of his palm, Yi Dingdang spun like a top, unable to hurt him at all. Tang Zheng had just escaped from the gates of hell. He never expected that Feng Xinyang would risk her own life to block this fatal blow for him. His heart was touched and filled with warmth. Therefore, he did not hesitate to reach out and grab Yi Dingdang to stop her. Yi Dingdang's breathing was chaotic, and she was gasping for breath. Her face was red as if she was drunk. Although she was not injured, it was obvious that she did not feel good. "You're members of the Ye family, yet you dare to attack me. Haha, very good." The old man suddenly laughed, and his tone was complicated. "You dare to harm my mother. Why can't I make a move against you?" Yi Dingdang shouted without the slightest bit of fear. "Dingdang, you have really grown up." The old man's tone softened. "Yes, I have grown up. No one can manipulate me or decide my life. My life is decided by me." Yi Dingdang shouted with all the strength in her body. In the distance, many students were pointing at them. No one had ever seen Yi Dingdang like this before. They could not help but feel curious. However, even if Yi Dingdang was angry, she was still very beautiful. This caused many boys to secretly exclaim that this kind of girl was strong. She was valiant and heroic. Tang Zheng's head moved. From a few people's conversation, he guessed that this old man was also a member of the Ye family. However, he was even more angry. He and the Ye family were not enemies. Why would they treat him like this? Therefore, he pulled Yi Dingdang behind him and used his sturdy body to protect her. He stood in front of the old man without fear and stared at him without the slightest fear. He asked, "Just who are you?" "Yi Xuanji," the old man lightly said. As expected, he was a member of the Ye family. Tang Zheng said. However, he did not know what this name represented. This was because this name did not mean anything to ordinary people. However, to people in special circles, this name represented something that ordinary people could not imagine. Chapter 82. Feng Xinyang could not understand the old man's thoughts. Seeing that the atmosphere was getting tense, she quickly changed the topic. "Old man, Tianlei still doesn't know that you're here. Ordinary balance. Why don't we go home first?" Yishuanji nodded and lightly said, "Bring this brat along." "Why should I go with you? I'm not a member of the Ye family." Tang Zheng retorted. "Moreover, Auntie Feng is injured. We should send her to the hospital first." Yishuanji's eyes turned cold and was about to explode when Feng Xinyang said, "Little handsome brother, my injury is not serious. Let's go home first." Although Feng Xinyang did not have a good impression of Yishuanji, she knew his temper. Tang Zheng going against him was not a good thing. "Auntie Feng, I still have to go to class." Tang Zheng did not want to meddle in other people's family matters, so he refused. Feng Xinyang gently said, I will ask for leave for your teacher. Just treat it as me begging you." Since the old man said that he wanted Tang Zheng to go to the Ye family, if he did not go, the old man would flip out and she would not be able to handle it. In the end, the one who would suffer would be Tang Zheng. Feng Xinyang did not want to see this kind of result. "Annie Feng is too serious. Since you asked, then I will not refuse." Tang Zheng agreed. In order to save him, Feng Xinyang did not hesitate to get injured. Of course, he would give her face. Yi Xuanji looked at Tang Zheng meaningfully. He never thought that there would be a day when his face would not be useful. Yi Dingdang indignantly stared at Yi Xuanji. Her eyes were filled with anger. Yi Xuanji looked at her and asked, "You hate me?" "Yes," Yi Dingdang resolutely said. "I am your grandfather. But have you done your duty as a grandfather? Since I was young, you have never come to see me." Yi Dingdang did not give him any face. Tang Zheng felt a chill. This person was actually Yi Dingdang's grandfather. No wonder he had such an imposing aura. Feng Xinyang was afraid that Yi Dingdang would say something that would anger the old man. She hurriedly grabbed Yi Dingdang and said, "Let's go." At the same time, she muttered in her heart, "Didn't the old man say that he wouldn't come to ordinary balance? Why did he come again? What was the matter?" They got into the car and drove away under the gazes of others. When Feng Shishir arrived at the school, she immediately heard about this matter. Her expression changed immediately. She sat alone in the classroom, her heart in turmoil. During this period of time, even though the relationship between Tang Zheng and her had progressed quickly, Yi Dingdang had always been watching from the side. Even though she didn't do anything extreme, but because of a girl's sixth sense, she still felt a strong sense of danger. When Feng Yong saw this, he hurriedly advised, "Sister-in-law, don't listen to other people's nonsense. Don't you know what kind of person the boss is?" Feng Shishir forced out a smile and said, "Is there something going on between them?" "Definitely not." Feng Yong patted his chest and promised. Even if there was, as a little brother, he had to say no. He couldn't cause trouble for the boss. "Feng Yong, you don't need to worry about me. You can go do what you need to do." Feng Shishir let out a long sigh of relief, but her heart was still somewhat apprehensive. Takashi looked at the two whispering people from afar. His eyes flashed with a trace of resentment. He originally thought that after Tang Zheng and Feng Shishir were together, he would be able to pursue Yi Dingdang. He never thought that Tang Zheng would still be entangled with Yi Dingdang. "I've already told Qiao Fei's parents that it was Tang Zheng who harmed Qiao Fei. Why haven't they done anything? His speed is too slow." Although Takashi was tall and strong, he wasn't an idiot. He originally thought that this plan of using a borrowed knife to kill would succeed, but he never thought that there would be no movement. Of course, he didn't know that the assassin had already made his move. It was just that he had become an idiot. Going on like this isn't a solution. I'm not afraid of thieves stealing, but I'm afraid of thieves thinking about me. Tang Zheng and Dingdang are together all day long. Who knows when she will be taken to bed by him? Then I won't have a chance. No, I have to think of a way. But what method should he use? Takashi scratched his head, but couldn't come up with a good idea. Whether it was in the light or in the dark, he wasn't Tang Zheng's opponent. A strong sense of powerlessness rose up spontaneously. I can't give up. As long as I keep an eye on him, I will be able to get hold of his weakness and ruthlessly nail him to death. Takashi silently made up his mind. At this moment, in the Ye family's manor, Tang Zheng was quietly sitting while Yi Dingdang angrily accompanied him. Feng Xinyang went to treat her injuries while Yi Tianlei had already invited Yi Xuanji into the study. Tang Zheng glanced at Yi Dingdang and said, "Your grandfather doesn't seem to have a good relationship with you." Yi Dingdang snorted and indignantly said, "He didn't do his duty as a grandfather. Back then, he was the one who kicked my father out of Beijing." "Your Ye family seems to be a large family?" Tang Zheng probed. "It's that Ye family and not my family. Since he kicked my father out of Beijing, then I won't recognize that Ye family." Yi Dingdang's attitude was firm. Tang Zheng knew that this must be a melodramatic matter within a large family. But since he had nothing to do here, he continued to gossip and asked, "Why was your father kicked out?" Yi Dingdang hesitated for a moment and said, "We're not outsiders, so I'll tell you. But you can't tell anyone else." Tang Zheng nodded his head in agreement. Yi Xuanji had 2 sons and 1 daughter. Yi Tianlei was the second son and had an elder brother above him. Yi Tianlei's talent in martial arts was not bad. He was even better than his elder brother. His cultivation was also higher. However, after he was seriously injured, his meridians were blocked, and he was judged to have no chance of reaching the Xintian realm. If a large family did not have an expert in charge, then the family would gradually decline. This was an unchanging truth. Although many people thought that Yi Tianlei would take over the position of the old man and become the next head of the family after he was injured, he had no hope of breaking through. Thus, the position of the head of the family was even more impossible to talk about. At this time, Yi Tianlei also met Feng Xinyang. Feng Xinyang was born a commoner, but her cultivation was not ordinary. In addition, she was a forthright person. Yi Tianlei fell in love with her at first sight and vowed to marry her. Yi Tianlei flew into a rage and said that if he dared to marry her, then he would drive him out of the capital. Perhaps because Yi Tianlei saw that he had no hope of breaking through and really loved Feng Xinyang. In a fit of anger, he left the capital with Feng Xinyang and came to the ordinary balance. The husband and wife started from scratch and worked together for more than 10 years to have their current family business. After Tang Zheng heard this, he could not help but sigh. So there were so many things that happened. No wonder Yi Dingdang did not have any feelings for Yi Xuanji. Tell me, why should I listen to this kind of person? He even wants to use me as a bargaining chip to marry Songyu. Wishful thinking. Yi Dingdang's life will not be controlled by anyone. Yi Dingdang said with righteous indignation. Tang Zheng nodded his head and agreed. That's right. You make your own decisions in your own life, let alone a lifetime of happiness. After Yi Dingdang vented the resentment in her heart, she felt a lot better. She looked at Tang Zheng and said, I didn't think that your guts would be bigger than mine. You actually dare to talk to him like that. Haha, aren't you the same? Tang Zheng said with a smile. Yi Dingdang shook her head and said, no one has ever dared to treat him like that. At that time, when I saw your appearance, I was so scared that my heart almost jumped out of my throat. But fortunately, your mother saved me. Otherwise, I would have become a cold corpse and would not be able to talk to you. Tang Zheng recalled the situation at that time and could not help but feel a lingering fear. Yi Dingdang also knew the danger at that time. For the first time, she said with embarrassment, Tang Zheng, I'm sorry. It was all because of me that you met with this unexpected disaster. Tang Zheng shook his head and said, We are friends. Saying these words is too distant. Friends. Yi Dingdang subconsciously repeated this phrase. Ever since she was young, she had never had a true friend. She could not help but feel that this phrase was strange, yet she also liked it. However, she immediately remembered Feng Xinyang's order to cook the rice. She felt a wave of annoyance in her heart. He already has a girlfriend. Do I really have to snatch him away like Feng Xinyang said? Snatch? What snatch? You say it like no one wants you. Yi Dingdang, how can you be this kind of person? Moreover, the person you like is a peerless hero. She let her imagination run wild. She subconsciously recalled the scene when he stood in front of her and faced the old man. His back was not wide, but it gave her a very safe feeling. It was like a tall wall that blocked out all the wind and rain outside. A strange feeling sprouted in her heart. Dingdang, I've already been here for so long. What else does he want to say? He didn't say it clearly. If he doesn't say it, I will have to go back to class. Tang Zheng complained. Yi Dingdang glanced at the tightly shut study door and said, How would I know what they're talking about? It's not like you didn't see my dad's righteous look just now. He told us not to disturb them. Let's just wait a little longer. Tang Zheng was helpless. He could only wait. At this moment, the two people in the study were having an intense argument. Tianlei, I will not change my words. Dingdang must marry Songyu. You are a member of the Ye family. You have to know that I am thinking for the future of the Ye family. Yi Xuanji said without any doubt. Dad, I know this. But Dingdang is my daughter. I have to be responsible for her happiness. Moreover, she and Tang Zheng are already engaged. Yi Tianlei gritted his teeth. He was prepared to follow the decision he made with his wife. Yi Xuanji looked at him with ridicule and said, "Do you really think that I am old and muddle-headed? You want to trick me with this kind of 3-year-old child's trick?" Yi Tianlei was seen through. His face turned red, but he still said, "Dad, I am not lying to you. This is the truth. I don't care what kind of messy ideas you guys have. In short, make that brat Tang Zheng disappear from Ding Dong's side. Make Ding Dang prepare for her engagement with Song Yu." Seeing the old man being so stubborn, Yi Tianlei wanted to refute, but his heart moved. He quickly changed the topic and said, "Dad, I met a godly doctor. He has a way to heal your injuries." Yi Tianlei thought that as long as the old man's life was not in danger, then there was no need to marry into the Song family. Who would have thought that when the old man heard this, he would snort and say, "Godly doctor? Haha, I have seen too many people who call themselves godly doctors. I think you have been tricked. Dad, my injuries have been healed. I have already broken through to the first grade innate stage," Yi Tianlei said impatiently. Chapter 83. When Yi Xuanji saw Yi Tianlei for the first time, he already knew that he had broken through to first grade innate stage, but he didn't have time to ask. Now that he heard that it was done by the godly doctor, he didn't look down on the godly doctor as he asked in a deep voice, "Then who is this godly doctor?" Yi Tianlei quickly said, "Father, you've seen him before." Could it be that the king of medicine cured you? Why haven't I heard him mention this before?" Yi Xuanji asked suspiciously. The king of medicine is a special person in this circle of nobles. Legend has it that he can revive the dead and regrow flesh and bones. That year, Yi Tianlei also asked the king of medicine for help with his injuries, but the king of medicine was still helpless. Before Yi Tianlei could reveal the truth, Yi Xuanji already shook his head and said to himself, "It can't be the king of medicine. A few days ago, when the king of medicine contacted me, he didn't mention this. Moreover, he just came to ordinary balance." Yi Tianlei opened his eyes wide and said in astonishment, "The king of medicine came to ordinary balance." Seeing the old man nod, Yi Tianlei held back his astonishment and continued to say, "My injuries weren't cured by the king of medicine. I'm talking about another person, Tang Zheng." Tang Zheng? Even though Yi Xuanji, who had been through countless storms and waves, had already cultivated a calm mentality, when he heard this news, he still couldn't hold back his astonishment. How could it be him? How old is he? Godly doctor? You think too highly of him. Father, I didn't lie to you. This is the truth. You can see that I've already broken through. Yi Tianlei decided to speak the truth. Yi Xuanji shook his head and said, "You don't have to give this brat the credit of someone else and try to stop this marriage." Yi Xuanji was prejudiced and didn't think it was possible. Moreover, becoming a godly doctor wasn't something that could be done easily. Tang Zheng was just too young. Yi Xuanji didn't believe him at all. "Father, that's not what I meant. Tang Zheng is a true talent. Maybe he can cure your injuries," Yi Tianlei suggested. Yi Xuanji laughed in ridicule. "You don't need to worry about my injuries. The king of medicine asked me to come to ordinary balance for this matter." Yi Xuanji, of course, Yi Xuanji, but since there was hope, of course, he was happy. But he still suggested, "Why don't let Tang Zheng take a look at you first?" Yi Xuanji waved his hand. He was already a bit angry and shouted, "Have you been bewitched by him? How could you be so muddle-headed?" Seeing that the old man was angry, Yi Tianlei's heart trembled. He finally resisted the urge to persuade him. Since the king of medicine asked him to come, it meant that the king of medicine was confident. He couldn't help but become excited. After the old man's injuries were healed, the pillar of the Yef family would not fall. The Yef family could continue to prosper. "Father, when are you going to see the king of medicine?" "In 2 days. The king of medicine said that he wanted to see an old friend first." Yi Xuanji said, "Tell the Tang Zheng outside that I don't want to see him again. That's all, you can leave." Yi Tianlei was kicked out of the study. His expression was a bit awkward. When he faced Tang Zheng, he felt a bit guilty. Tang Zheng, Uncle really let you down this time. Yi Tianlei said apologetically. Because of our family's matters, you were almost injured. Tang Zheng shook his head and said unconcernedly, Ding Dang is my friend. This is what I should do. Yi Tianlei hesitated. It was a bit difficult to say. He really couldn't bring himself to ask Tang Zheng to stay away from Ding Dang in the future. At this moment, Feng Xinyang, who had already treated her husband's injuries, rushed over. Seeing her husband's appearance, she immediately guessed what had happened. She hurriedly said, The old man is still stubborn? Yes. Also, I wanted to ask Tang Zheng to take a look at his injuries, but he refused. Yi Tianlei said regretfully, Uncle Yi, so you wanted me to treat his injuries? Tang Zheng asked in astonishment. Seeing Yi Tianlei nod, Tang Zheng recalled Yi Xuanji's rude actions today. He immediately became a bit angry and said, If it was someone else, I wouldn't care. But he almost killed me. If you want me to take a look, I won't take a look. Yi Tianlei was so embarrassed that he didn't know what to say. Feng Xinyang also felt a bit indignant and directly said, Little handsome brother, I'll send you back to school. We'll talk on the way. She also didn't give Yi Tianlei a chance to ask Tang Zheng to leave Yi Ding Dang. Seeing the three leave, Yi Tianlei rubbed his forehead. Why is this matter getting more and more troublesome? It's really a mess. Little handsome brother, don't pay attention to the old man. You guys make your own decisions. In the car, Feng Xinyang said resolutely. She even winked at Yi Ding Dang, hinting him to quickly take down Tang Zheng. But his attitude, Yi Ding Dang said hesitantly. She clearly knew the resistance of this matter. Mom will take care of everything for you. Feng Xinyang was determined to go against the old man to the end. Yi Ding Dang looked at the silent Tang Zheng and thought that compared to Song Yu, Tang Zheng was much more pleasing to the eye. Should she really turn the act into reality and take him down? She was distracted by this thought. It wasn't until they arrived at school that she looked at Tang Zheng and said, Tang Zheng, how about I reluctantly become your girlfriend? What? Tang Zheng suspected that there was something wrong with his ears. He was really frightened and almost jumped up. He stared at her in disbelief and said, Don't talk nonsense. I already have a girlfriend. You'll scare me to death. At the end of the day, Tang Zheng is still a traditional boy. At this time, Tian Chanzi immediately jumped out and shouted, Brat, are you an idiot? Since this girl has already proposed, then you should go with the flow and take her down. Don't say anymore. If you continue, then I really won't be able to resist this temptation. Although Tang Zheng was a traditional man, he still had a man's mind. I think you've really gone crazy. Don't you know your own body? You've already accumulated a lot of pure yang energy. If you don't have enough pure yin energy to balance it, then just wait for your body to explode and die. Tian Chanzi said resentfully. Yi Ding Dang was also shocked by her own boldness. But when she saw Tang Zheng's fearful expression, she felt hurt and indignant. So she loudly asked, Could it be that I can't compare to Feng Shi? Am I not as beautiful as her? Tang Zheng wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said, No, you're really beautiful. Yi Ding Dang and Feng Shi were both extremely beautiful. One was valiant and heroic, while the other was a pretty girl from a humble family. The two completely different beauties were extremely tempting and impactful to the boys. Seeing him admit that she was beautiful, Yi Ding Dang was a little proud, but she still kept a straight face and said, Then if I become your girlfriend, I'll lose face for you? Tang Zheng hurriedly shook his head. How is this losing face? It was completely gaining face. Who knew how many boys in the school wished for such a wonderful thing? Then isn't that enough? I'll be your girlfriend. No, I'll be your fiancé. This is something that my parents know. Yi Ding Dang said decisively. She had a bit of Feng Xinyang style. But I already have a girlfriend. Tang Zheng said with a bitter smile. Then why don't we just break up? Yi Ding Dang said lightly. Tang Zheng was speechless. Yi Ding Dang's aura was really overbearing. Although it was indeed attractive, he wasn't a heartless person. Of course he couldn't agree. The two people's voices couldn't help but raise a few octaves. The nearby students heard everything clearly. It was as if their mouths were stuffed with eggs. Their mouths were wide open. Heavens! Yi Dingdang actually confessed to Tang Zheng and wanted to be his girlfriend, no, fiancée. Moreover, she even wanted to kick Fang Shishir out. Explosive, too explosive. Perhaps even a meteorite hitting the earth wouldn't be as explosive as this news. Almost everyone was gossiping in their hearts. They definitely had to tell someone about this news. In their depressing school life, this kind of seasoning was really hard to come by. Everyone was thinking about what kind of expression Fang Shishir would have if she knew about this. What kind of result would it be? They didn't know if it was because Tang Zheng was too lucky in the past. Today, bad luck finally fell on his head. They saw Fang Shishir walk out from behind the crowd. Her face was deathly pale, and her legs were practically trembling. Obviously, she had already heard the two people's conversation. What would she do? Everyone was focused and didn't make a sound. They were deeply afraid of disturbing this good show. However, there was still someone who disturbed, and it was done on purpose. Feng Yong rushed over and shouted, "Boss, you're finally back. That's great. I have a question that I don't understand. Hurry up and explain it to me." Feng Yong directly rushed in front of Tang Zheng, grabbed him, and ran away like the wind. He was a competent firefighter for once. The two people ran together and stopped in the distance, panting. Feng Yong was tired, and Tang Zheng was really nervous. As a rookie, he really didn't have any experience in dealing with this kind of situation. He looked at Feng Yong gratefully, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "Fatty, thank you. Hee, it's my responsibility and honor to share boss's worries and difficulties." Feng Yong cheerfully laughed, but then a look of worship appeared on his face. It was as if he was a groupie looking at his celebrity. He said, "Boss, you're really too brilliant. Sister Ding Dang actually confessed to you and even said that you're her fiancé. Isn't this a bit too fast?" Tang Zheng was unable to say anything. He said, "It's all a misunderstanding. She's just talking nonsense." "How could it be nonsense? Sister Ding Dang isn't a person who likes to talk nonsense. I think she really likes you," Feng Yong said with certainty. "How could that be?" Tang Zheng subconsciously denied, but his heart thumped. What if she really likes him? "Haha, boss, your ability to pick up girls is really too good. This kind of good thing can't happen to other people." Feng Yong said enviously, "Boss, don't be so unhappy. You should be a bit happier. This is a happy thing." Happy thing? Tang Zheng didn't think so. It was just that he didn't know what to do now. He also didn't know what would happen between Yi Dingdang and Fang Shishir. Would they directly fight like in the movies? Chapter 84. Yi Dingdang and Fang Shishir did not fight like normal women. The two of them looked at each other awkwardly and walked straight to the classroom as if they had a tacit understanding. Perhaps the way beauties solve problems was very different from normal people. The group of onlookers lamented that it was a pity. If the two of them could have fought to their heart's content, this show would have been even more exciting. However, the news of Yi Dingdang's confession had already grown wings and spread throughout the entire campus like the wind. Suddenly, Rick Journey's form exploded. The attention of the few of them instantly exploded, and Tang Zheng had undoubtedly become the center of attention again. It turned out that the scandal between Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang had also caused a stir. However, in the end, when Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir's relationship was made public, the scandal naturally collapsed and disappeared without a trace. However, this time, there was real evidence. Yi Dingdang had actually confessed to Tang Zheng, and the two schoolbells were really fighting over Tang Zheng. Was Tang Zheng that good? Many people secretly complained that it was unfair. Tang Zheng had almost become the public enemy of the entire school. Not only the boys, but the girls also thought that he was insatiably greedy and two-timing. Wasn't that what women hated the most? Moreover, he was not satisfied with plucking one of the schoolbells and wanted to get his hands on the other. How was anyone supposed to live with this? However, Su and many people were also very curious about how this love triangle would develop and how Tang Zheng would deal with it. In short, this matter was getting more and more exciting. Some people were happy while others were sad. Takashi gritted his teeth in hatred, but he could only stare at the people involved from a corner from afar. His eyes were almost spitting fire. Tang Zheng and Feng Yong walked in, and in an instant, everyone's eyes were focused on him. He was like the most famous celebrity. If it were anyone else, they would probably be scared witless. However, Tang Jing acted as if he didn't see it and walked straight to his seat. Yi Dingdang and Fang Shishir both looked at Tang Zheng at the same time. Their gazes were completely different. Yi Dingdang looked slightly more complicated, while Fang Shishir looked sad. Tang Zheng breathed a sigh of relief. It was great that the two of them didn't fight. Seeing Fang Shishir's pitiful appearance, he also felt a little apologetic and held her hand. Fang Shishir subconsciously shook off his hand and looked at him bitterly. Tang Zheng squatted down so that he was inches away from her. Their eyes met, and he whispered, "Shishir, you have to believe me. This is all a misunderstanding." Fang Shishir bit her lip, her body trembling uncontrollably as she said faintly, "Misunderstanding? I saw it with my own eyes and heard it with my own ears. How could it still be a misunderstanding? You should have heard it. This is all nonsense from her. I didn't say anything." Tang Zheng hurriedly explained and shouted that he was wronged. Fang Shishir's heart moved. It seemed that it was indeed as he said. This was all Yi Dingdang's words. Yi Dingdang heard everything clearly. Seeing that he couldn't wait to get rid of this relationship, her heart felt as if it had been ruthlessly stabbed. She blurted out, "Tang Zheng, you are my fiancé. My parents agreed to it." This sentence was like a heavy hammer that fiercely struck Fang Shishir's heart. Just a moment ago, a trace of loosening appeared, but it immediately became as firm as a rock. The biggest obstacle between her and Tang Zheng came from her parents. However, Yi Dingdang and Tang Zheng's relationship was actually approved by Yi Dingdang's parents. Fang Shishir felt that she had been pushed back a lot in this battle. She had always thought that she had victory in her hands. Now that she was at such a disadvantage, her mood was terrible. Tang Zheng fiercely glared at Yi Dingdang and said, "Dingdang, can't you talk less? Don't add fuel to the fire." Yi Dingdang snorted in protest. "Don't you two flirt in front of me. I don't want to hear it. Tang Zheng, I want to study. Don't disturb me." After Fang Shishir finished speaking, she opened her book. It was as if Tang Zheng really didn't exist. She wholeheartedly immersed herself in studying. Tang Zheng looked deeply at her. Helpless, he could only return to his seat. No one saw that behind the book, Fang Shishir's face was gradually filled with tears. Yi Dingdang seemed to know that this time, the matter had become too big. However, she wasn't the type to admit defeat. Moreover, Feng Xinyang's repeated indoctrination seemed to be subtly influencing her. She didn't dislike Tang Zheng to begin with. Now, she felt that he was becoming more and more pleasing to the eye. In addition, the old man was pressuring her step by step. She understood that if there wasn't a suitable outcome, she was afraid that she would really be forced to get engaged. Tang Zheng was undoubtedly the best person to break this deadlock. Therefore, she seemed to have steeled her heart. However, the atmosphere between the three of them was a bit strange, so she didn't say anything else. At the same time, the atmosphere in Mu Hongyan's house was a bit strange. An old man with white hair and a youthful face looked at Mu Hongyan and Nana in horror. His pair of bright eyes stared straight at Nana. Nana tilted her head and looked at him curiously. She suddenly reached out and grabbed his long beard and said, "Old Grandpa, why are you looking at Nana? Is Nana's face dirty?" As she said this, she used her other hand to wipe her pink face. Mu Hongyan was shocked to see Nana grabbing the old man's beard. She was about to let go of her hand when she saw the old man wave his hand, indicating that it was fine. Only then did she let out a sigh of relief. This old man's identity was simply too frightening. Even the patriarchs of the various large clans would be courteous to him. Who would actually grab his beard like Nanan did? "Senior King of Medicine, is Nana's illness really completely cured?" She asked tentatively. Although the godly doctor had already said that Nana was completely cured, she couldn't help but want to get an answer from the King of Medicine again. The King of Medicine nodded solemnly and said, "She's really completely cured. Even that strange aura is gone." After receiving confirmation, the stone in Mu Hongyan's heart was finally completely put down. She asked, Senior King of Medicine, are you talking about that evil aura? The King of Medicine's eyes lit up. He nodded and said, that aura was indeed very evil. It's not an exaggeration to say that it was evil aura. It's just that I haven't figured out how this evil aura was produced. As he said this, he actually frowned. It seemed that this problem had been bothering him for many years. Mu Hongyan recalled the scene at that time and said, Senior Godly Doctor said that the evil aura was produced by the art of curses. Art of curses? What's that? The King of Medicine's eyes widened. This was the first time he had heard of this term. He had dedicated his life to the vast number of medical books and thousands of medicines, but he had never seen these 4 words in any of the books. Seeing that the King of Medicine didn't know the whole story, she was even more confused. However, she had a feeling of admiration for the godly doctor. Mu Hongyan shook her head, indicating that she didn't know either. The King of Medicine couldn't hide his disappointment. At his level, he was no longer interested in ordinary things. The more difficult the disease was, the more he liked it. In the past, he had also diagnosed Nana, but he couldn't do anything. In the end, he tried everything, but there was still no improvement. He knew that things in the world couldn't be solved completely by relying on human power, so he could only give up helplessly. However, he still accurately diagnosed the duration of Nana's life. This time, when he suddenly heard that Nana had recovered, he couldn't help but be surprised. He went straight to the ordinary balance from thousands of miles away, just to find out the ins and outs of the matter. He couldn't do anything, but others could. That meant that he had lost to the other party. Since his debut, the King of Medicine had never lost to anyone. This time, he lost completely. He wanted to see who the other party was, and also wanted to discuss medical knowledge with him. Seeing that Mu Hongyan couldn't tell the whole story, the King of Medicine continued to ask, Then do you know how that person treated Nana? He first gave Nana a life-continuing pill, and then he personally removed the evil spirit from Nana. After that, Nana was completely healed. Mu Hongyan recalled the scene at that time, and still felt like she was in a dream. It was too unreal. Life-continuing pill. You mean the life-continuing pill? The King of Medicine's expression suddenly became excited, and a strange flush appeared on his face. Mu Hongyan didn't know why he was so excited. She nodded and said, The godly doctor did say that the pill was called the life-continuing pill, and it could extend one's life by 10 years. How could the King of Medicine not be excited? He had read through medical books and only saw the 3 words life-continuing pill in a very strange ancient book. If it wasn't for his amazing memory, he would have already forgotten about it. Hearing these 3 words again this time, the description of the life-continuing pill once again became clear in his mind. According to the ancient records, the life-continuing pill had the ability to steal the fortune of heaven and earth. It could defy the heavens and change one's fate, extending one's life. It was simply a legendary immortal pill. The King of Medicine originally snorted disdainfully because he absolutely didn't believe that this kind of thing was hard to explain. He thought that the ancient people were deliberately mystifying things. He never would have thought that the life-continuing pill actually existed in this world, and it even saved a person's life. Facts spoke louder than words. The King of Medicine had already put away his contempt and became extremely serious as he said, Tell me the whole story. Seeing the King of Medicine being so serious, Mu Hongyan organized her thoughts and tirelessly told the story. But the King of Medicine's expression gradually became more and more interesting. In the end, he couldn't help but cry out, How is that possible? How could someone who has the life-continuing pill lack money? Why would he sell the life-continuing pill and even set up a street stall? This was simply an unimaginable matter. Senior King of Medicine, this is absolutely true, Mu Hongyan firmly said, although she also had the same doubts. The King of Medicine rubbed between his eyebrows. This matter was simply too strange and even exceeded common sense. He muttered to himself for a long time and then said, Do you have any news of that person? Mu Hongyan couldn't hide her disappointment as she shook her head and said, Senior Godly Doctor doesn't want others to disturb him, so I also don't have any news of him. Mu Hongyan had once thought of sending people to search for traces of the Godly Doctor, but in the end she gave up on this idea. Since the Senior Godly Doctor had solemnly said this matter, she didn't dare to go against his wishes. Brother Godly Doctor promised me that he would come and see me. Nana opened her big round eyes and said in a childish voice. The King of Medicine excitedly hugged Nana and said, "Are you serious?" Nana pretended to be serious and acted like a little adult as she nodded and said, "Of course, we even made a pinky promise." Brother Godly Doctor wouldn't lie, so Nana knew that he would definitely come and see me. A pair of big eyes flashed with a certain light. "Nana, why did you call him Brother Godly Doctor?" The King of Medicine suddenly found this suspicious point. Nana tilted her head as if thinking about this question. Chapter 85. Upon seeing this, Mu Hongyan explained, "Senior King of Medicine, this is all because the child is too young and doesn't know any better." Nana pouted her small mouth and said, "I'm not young. I've already grown up. He is Brother Godly Doctor. This is a secret between us." Mu Hongyan laughed involuntarily, not taking it seriously at all. But the King of Medicine looked at Nana cautiously and said, "Nana, can you tell us about you and that Godly Doctor?" Nana's eyes revealed a little pride as she said, "Brother Godly Doctor is a handsome guy." Handsome guy? Mu Hongyan and the King of Medicine were surprised at the same time. The two of them subconsciously thought of each other as a respectable old man. An old man and a handsome guy were not related at all. Moreover, Nana obviously would not lie, so the two of them quickly grasped this suspicious point. The King of Medicine impatiently asked, "Nana, what secret do you have with him?" This is a secret between him and me. We made a pinky promise that we can't talk about it." The little girl was startled and said regretfully. Her serious look was especially cute. Mu Hongyan did not think that her daughter and Senior Godly Doctor had a secret agreement and did not know what expression to make. The King of Medicine had an idea and asked, "Nana, have you seen his true face before?" Nana pouted her mouth, lowered her head, and said, "I promised Brother Godly Doctor that I wouldn't tell." The King of Medicine and Mu Hongyan looked at each other at the same time. Nana's words were a silent agreement. Mu Hongyan's heart moved. She had always been curious about Senior Godly Doctor. She did not think that her daughter had seen his true face. She was both surprised and happy as she said, "Nana, this matter is very important. Can you tell Mother?" "But Brother Godly Doctor told me not to tell outsiders." Nana looked embarrassed. "But Mommy is not an outsider. Mommy is your family." Mu Hongyan guided her patiently. "But Brother Godly Doctor said that I can't tell Mom." Mu Hongyan was embarrassed, but she suddenly had an idea and asked, "Okay, then you don't have to tell Mom. Mom also knows that Senior Godly Doctor must be an old grandpa." Nana opened her eyes wide and kept shaking her head, saying, "No way. How could Brother Godly Doctor be an old grandpa? He's very young, and he's a handsome guy." The little ass had fallen into Xiao Xiao's trap. Obviously, with her little brain, she didn't know. How is this possible? Mu Hongyan pretended not to believe, but her heart was already in turmoil. It turned out that her deductions were all wrong. The other party was not some respected old man, but was actually a young man. This completely subverted her imagination. The King of Medicine's expression was also very complicated. At first, he also thought that the other party was like him, an old man who had studied medicine for dozens of years. But the other party was actually a young man. Even if he had seen a lot, he still felt that it was inconceivable. "What I said is true." Seeing that she didn't believe, Nana anxiously jumped up. "Okay, I believe you. What Nana said is true." Mu Hongyan couldn't hide the shock in her heart as she hurriedly comforted her daughter. Only then did Nan smile in satisfaction. In fact, after knowing the truth, Mu Hongyan's other question was easily solved. At first, she was very curious as to why the Godly Doctor let Nana call him brother. Obviously, this didn't conform to common sense. Now that she knew the other party's age, this question made sense. Nana, then do you still recognize him now? The king of medicine asked again. Of course. Nana proudly raised her head. Mu Hongyan thoughtfully said in a low voice, Senior king of medicine, do you have any good ideas? We must find him. He is simply a miracle in the history of medicine. I have a lot of questions to ask him. Moreover, an old friend of mine is suffering from a chronic disease and doesn't have much time left. If he still has the life-prolonging pill, then my old friend will be able to get through this hurdle. The king of medicine said. Mu Hongyan nodded. So that's how it is, she said, but even if Nana has seen his true face, ordinary balance is so big. With millions of people, it won't be easy to find him. The king of medicine was full of confidence, saying, This old friend of mine is not an ordinary person. He is the head of the Ye family, Yi Tianlei. His son, Yi Tianlei, has been in ordinary balance for more than 10 years. His power cannot be underestimated. It shouldn't be too difficult to find a person. Ye family? Mu Hongyan was shocked. She immediately nodded and said, If other people really don't have a way, then perhaps Yi Tianlei will succeed. In these few months that I have been in ordinary balance, I have heard a lot about this couple. They really aren't ordinary people. Mu Hongyan wasn't a resident of ordinary balance, but this was the place where she and her husband met. So in the last days of her daughter's life, she brought her here for a walk. It could be considered a kind of consolation, but her late husband's spirit in heaven really seemed to be protecting her daughter, allowing her to encounter a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Then I will inform them now and have them search the entire city. The king of medicine said impatiently. When Yishuanji met with the king of medicine and learned of this inside story, he was also very surprised, saying, That little girl's story is known by almost everyone in the circle. She was actually saved. Yes, this is really a miracle. So your injury also fell on this person. The king of medicine couldn't help but sigh. Yishuanji's heart trembled. He had already given up hope before, but now that the hope of survival was placed in front of him, how could he not be moved? The more a person of virtue and prestige, the more they cherished their life. This was because they knew that as long as they survived, everything was possible. Yi Tianlei also accompanied the old man by his side and said with an excited expression, Then what does the king of medicine senior need us to do? Find him. This person is very young and doesn't have any specific facial features. But this kind of person's range of activity is not too large. Focus on searching pharmacies, hospitals, and such. Pay attention to all suspicious people. The king of medicine instructed. Yi Tianlei nodded, but he didn't expect that this godly doctor was his old acquaintance, Tang Zhang. So a large-scale search of the godly doctor began. However, no matter how much they thought about it, no one would have thought that this godly doctor wasn't a doctor, but a high school senior who was preparing for the college entrance exam. They were completely looking in the wrong direction. At this moment, Tang Zheng had already been grabbed by Lu Qingmei. In fact, this day had been very torturous for him. Fang sure ignored him, and Yi Dingdang would talk to him from time to time, adding fuel to the fire. As a beginner, he didn't know how to deal with this mess. Lu Qingmei's place was a safe haven, but today Lu Qingmei's gaze was very strange, and she would turn her head to look at him from time to time. Teacher Lu, is there a flower on my face? Why are you looking at me like that? Tang Zheng asked strangely. Lu Qingmei's cold eyebrows had a bit of mischief, and after a while she said, Tang Zheng, you really hit it well. You actually made Yi Dingdang confess to you. Tang Zheng's face immediately turned sour. He didn't think that this matter would spread so quickly that even the teacher knew. He hurriedly denied it and said, Teacher Lu, this is all nonsense from other people. You can't believe it. Is that so? At that time, I just happened to pass by and heard everything clearly. What? Tang Zheng was shocked. Lu Qingmei actually heard it with her own ears. This time, even if he jumped into the Yellow River, he wouldn't be able to clear his name. With a bitter face, he sighed. Why are you so depressed? You're so young, and yet you're already two-timing. You're quite skilled. Lu Qingmei ridiculed. She actually encountered this kind of melodramatic matter on school grounds. Tang Zheng bitterly shook his head and said, Teacher Lu, don't laugh at me. I don't have any interest in your matters. but I have to remind you that the high school exams are about to begin. You can't relax and must use the remaining time to study. Lu Qingmei warned. Seeing as she didn't continue to pursue this matter, Tang Zheng finally let out a breath of relief. Suddenly, he saw the unfamiliar street outside and said in astonishment, "Teacher Lu, this isn't the way back to your home, right?" "No, I have some matters to attend to. First, accompany me to a place, and then we'll go home to make up for our lessons," Lu Qingmei lightly said. Tang Zheng didn't ask any more questions, but when the car stopped outside a high-class Western restaurant, he couldn't help but be shocked. He had never been to this kind of place before because it was too expensive and he couldn't afford it. However, he still maintained his silence and walked in with her. The waiter brought the two of them to a booth by the window. There was already someone waving at them. It was clear that they had been waiting here for a long time. When he saw the other party's appearance, Tang Zheng was shocked. It was actually Song Donghua. Clearly, the other party also saw Tang Zheng and was stunned for a moment before returning to normal. Song Donghua stood up and pulled out a chair for Lu Qingmei in a gentlemanly manner. However, Lu Qingmei didn't sit down. She gracefully stood there and coldly said, "Secretary Song, I didn't come here to eat. I have some matters to attend to, and I want to clarify something with you." Song Donghua's mouth twitched, but he still smiled and said, "If there's anything you want to say, you can say it after eating. Classmate Tang Zheng, you should also sit down and eat." Tang Zheng didn't sit, but looked at Lu Qingmei. He had already guessed that Song Donghua was pursuing Lu Qingmei, so he was very curious as to how the two of them would develop. Seeing that the two of them were unmoved, Song Donghua felt extremely awkward, but he still maintained his composure. Lu Qingmei was expressionless as she continued to speak. "I know what you were thinking, but I want to make it clear to you that you're not my type, so there is no possibility between us. I hope that you will stop bothering me in the future." Song Donghua's eyes flashed with a strange light, but he still said without changing his expression, "Miss Lu, it is too early to say such things. We are all friends, so we should interact with each other and get to know each other better." He wouldn't just watch as his chance to soar to the top slipped away. Song Donghua's words were neither fast nor slow and were refined and courteous. Even the waiter at the side couldn't help but reveal a look of infatuation. "Then I'll be a bit more direct. I don't like people in the government, and I even hate people in the government. Do you think that you can leave the government for me?" Lu Qingmei said bluntly. In this country where government officials are the most important, being in the government was undoubtedly one of the most popular jobs. Many mothers-in-law would choose a son-in-law from the government. Chapter 86. Song Donghua felt as if someone had choked him by the neck, and he immediately lost his ability to speak. His calm face finally revealed an awkward expression. The waitress looked at Lu Qingmei as if she was an alien. In this world, there was actually someone who did not like being a government official. She wanted nothing more than to marry one, but she did not have such a good life. Tang Zheng looked meaningfully at Lu Qingmei and did not hide his admiration for her. She actually had such a personality which was truly commendable. He looked at Song Donghua with interest, as he did not know how he would respond. He only saw Song Donghua's expression change a few times before returning to normal. He calmly said, "This matter can still be discussed. Tang Zheng, let's go." Lu Qingmei did not give Song Donghua a chance to explain, as she was not a 3-year-old child. How could she be coaxed by the other party's few words? Moreover, she had originally wanted to use the other party's fatal weakness to make him give up, so everything he had done was for naught. Tang Zheng looked deeply at Song Donghua and hurriedly chased after them, leaving Song Donghua to send them off with his gaze. Song Donghua's face gradually became gloomy. This was the first time in his life that he had been rejected by a woman. It was also the most awkward time, and he would never forget it for the rest of his life. But when he thought of Lu Qingmei's family background, he was not willing to give up. He thought in his heart that he had finally found a shortcut, and if he were to give up now, it would be too much of pity. His gaze fell on Tang Zheng's body, and his heart moved as he secretly pondered. Since she values this student so much, can I use him to open up the situation? But when he thought of Tang Zhang's perfunctory attitude, he could not make up his mind. But he was not an indecisive person and immediately remembered Tang Zhang's identity. He was only a student from a poor family, and if he used benefits to entice him, would he be able to use him to capture Lu Qingmei's heart? Tang Zheng sat in front of Lu Qingmei and listened to her lecture. His tone and expression did not change at all, as if nothing had happened in the restaurant. When it was time to rest, he finally couldn't hold back his curiosity and asked, "Teacher Lu, why do you hate officials?" Lu Qingmei looked at him coldly and said, "Being an official is too complicated. I don't like it. You don't want to be an official in the future." Tang Zheng smiled and said, "An official needs connections and background. I don't have any of those. How can I be an official?" Moreover, he was a person who liked freedom. Being an official was really not suitable for him. Lu Qingmei also thought that her worries were groundless and said, "Song Donghua is really annoying. He's like a fly that can't be bothered." Lu Qingmei did not think that in order to save Tang Zheng, she would attract this kind of trouble. She could not help but look deeply at Tang Zheng and said, "If it wasn't for you, then I wouldn't have provoked him." Tang Zheng knew what the other was referring to. He smiled apologetically and said, "It is indeed my fault, but the main reason is because teacher's charm is too great." Lu Qingmei wrinkled her eyebrows and said, "You also dare to make fun of me? Make fun of you? Where did that come from? I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. Could it be that teacher doesn't think that your charm is great? Look, everyone is much more serious in your class." Tang Zheng was speaking the truth, but when he said it, it sounded like he was teasing. This made Lu Qingmei feel a little conflicted. "Glib-tongued, no wonder Yi Dingdang and Fong Shishir fell in love with you," Lu Qingmei said mockingly. Tang Zheng was greatly embarrassed. How did this matter come up again? Moreover, how was he glib-tongued? He was just about to change the topic when suddenly the qi in his body began to move restlessly. He was shocked. What was going on? He did not have time to think before Tian Chanzi began to shout, "This is bad. I already told you to deal with one of them, but you didn't listen to me. Now you're going to suffer. Don't keep me in suspense. What's wrong with me?" Tang Zheng asked in a bad mood. "Little brat, you've been working hard these past few days, and your cultivation has progressed at a godly speed. You already have 3 inches and 4 parts of qi, which can be considered vigorous. However, you haven't been absorbing too much pure yin qi, so your pure yang qi is rebelling." "Rebelling?" "Yes, take a look at your true qi. Isn't it boiling? This is a sign that your body is about to explode. Then what should I do now?" Tang Zheng did not think that he would reach this point so quickly. He only felt his body become hotter and hotter, and his cheeks became redder and redder. Tian Chanzi did not have time to reply before Lu Qingmei discovered his strangeness and said, "Tang Zheng, what's wrong with you? Why is your face red?" Her heart wondered if he was shy. He didn't seem like such an introverted person. "Teacher Lu, I'm not feeling well. I'll go home first." Tang Zheng stood for a moment and suddenly felt dizzy. He staggered and fell towards Lu Qingmei. "Tang Zheng, what are you doing?" Lu Qingmei opened her eyes wide and loudly berated him. She thought that he wanted to take advantage of her. "Teacher Lu, He did not have time to finish speaking before he fiercely threw himself onto Lu Qingmei's body. Lu Qingmei wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. Tang Zheng's 100 gene weight was already on top of her. "Put on." The two people fell onto the sofa at the same time. Lu Qingmei was on the bottom, and Tang Zheng was on top. "Tang Zheng, hurry up and get up. Otherwise I'll really get angry." Lu Qingmei's voice was cold and carried a bit of killing intent. But Tang Zheng turned a deaf ear to her. He closed his eyes and laid on top of her body. The two people's bodies were intimately close together. More importantly, Tang Zheng's face was buried in her chest. Lu Qingmei's chest was very majestic. It was like 2 undulating mountain ranges tightly wrapping around Tang Zheng's face. Heavens! Lu Qingmei had lived for more than 20 years and had never been so intimate with a man. Moreover, it was in this position. It was simply too ambiguous. Lu Qingmei was really angry. Her anger rose up, and she wanted to skin Tang Zheng alive. So he had been pretending all along. Now he finally revealed his true colors. He actually dared to scheme against her. Did he think that she was a 10-year-old girl who would be scared or tricked by his methods? Seeing that Tang Zheng still did not move, Lu Qingmei finally exploded. She grabbed his shoulders with both hands and angrily roared, "Scram!" Using all of her strength, she pushed Tang Zheng away. Pung! Tang Zheng fell onto the floor. Lu Qingmei gasped for breath. She did not feel embarrassed, only endless anger. She regretted to death. Why did she help this guy with a human face but a beast's heart? So she had been deceived by him all along. I will definitely make him regret it for the rest of his life. If he dares to have any ideas about me, I will definitely not forgive him. She secretly made up her mind. Why is he still lying on the floor motionless? Suddenly, she found that she was like a puppet. Even if she fell on the floor, she did not react. What was going on? Could it be that he was still acting? Humph, you tricked me before. Could it be that you want to trick me again? You think too much of me, don't you? Get up. She kicked Tang Zheng, but found that he did not move. Do you still want to continue acting with me? Then I'll help you. Lu Qingmei was usually very calm, but this time it was really hard to keep calm. She fiercely kicked Tang Zheng a few times. He still wants to continue acting like this? She was full of doubts. She could not help but stare at Tang Zheng's body. She found that he still did not move. The half of his face that was exposed was as red as iron. Her heart skipped a beat. Could it be that he was not acting? She hesitated for a long time before carefully squatting down to examine him. His body is actually emitting heat. This is definitely not his body temperature. He is like a high-temperature furnace. She was shocked. Could it be that he had a high fever? If he was not sent to the hospital with this kind of fever, then he would become an idiot. At this moment, she finally understood that she had wronged him. He was not deliberately trying to take advantage of her, but he was sick. Lu Qingmei had never seen this kind of illness before. It must be some kind of difficult illness. At this moment, her anger quickly faded and the urge to save someone took over. She grabbed Tang Zheng's hand. She could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. It really was boiling hot, making her hand feel a burning pain. What was wrong with him? She could not figure it out, but this kind of dangerous situation did not allow her to carefully ponder over it. She could only endure the burning pain from her hand. She used all her strength to help Tang Zheng up. She reached out a hand to hold his waist, letting his body lean against hers as much as possible, and then slowly moved towards the door. The two people's bodies inevitably came into close contact with each other. Their skin was pressed against each other, and waves of pure yin energy that was invisible to the naked eye came from her body. It quickly passed through her skin and into Tang Zheng's body. Lu Qingmei did not realize this at all. She only knew that Tang Zheng was really heavy, making it difficult for her to walk. He's not that old, but his body is so heavy. I wonder how he grew up. She took deep breaths as she silently cursed. Seeing that the two of them were about to reach the door, suddenly, Tang Zheng let out a soft cry. Lu Qingmei immediately stopped and stared at him as she asked, "You're awake? What is wrong with you?" Tang Zheng did not answer her because his eyes were still closed, but there was a trace of satisfaction on his red face. That's right, it was satisfaction. Lu Qingmei was stunned for a moment. At this critical moment of life and death, he actually dared to have this kind of satisfaction. She had really wronged Tang Zheng. The true qi in his body had completely boiled, and the pure yang energy that had been accumulating for a long time had exploded, causing his body to go through an earth-shattering change. It was to the point that he had directly fainted, so it was easy to imagine how serious this matter was. But when Lu Qingmei helped him up and their bodies came into close contact, pure yin energy continuously flowed into his body. This was many times denser than the pure yin energy absorbed from the air. Moreover, Lu Qingmei also had a profound yin body, so it made Tang Zheng let out a soft cry. This was a subconscious cry of satisfaction. Seeing that he still did not respond, Lu Qingmei did not understand the specific situation, so she decided to first send him to the hospital. She was just about to open the door when she suddenly felt her body tighten. She was actually tightly hugged by Tang Zheng. Their two bodies were tightly pressed together, as if they wanted to rub each other into the other's body. Chapter 87. Lu Qingmei couldn't believe her eyes. She was held in Tang Zheng's arms, and her graceful body was almost stiff. But Tang Zheng didn't seem to be satisfied with such intimate contact. He made a series of satisfied cries, and his hands actually stroked her body. Ah! Lu Qingmei screamed as if she had been electrocuted. She tried to break free from the other party's restraint, but found that his hands were like a pair of pliers. She couldn't break free at all. Tang Zheng, I'm going to kill you. She suddenly realized that she had been tricked by Tang Zheng again. She concluded that he had pretended to do all this for a long time to take advantage of her. She angrily waved her fist and smashed it on Tang Zheng's body. But this attack was similar to scratching an itch for Tang Zheng. On the contrary, the more she struggled, the bigger Tang Zheng's movements became. He fixed his hands on her head and kissed her lips. God, he really kissed Lu Qingmei's warm lips. This was like a thirsty person meeting a water source. He wantonly launched an attack and kissed. For a few seconds, Lu Qingmei felt that she was dreaming. It was too unreal. She was actually kissed by her own student. This was her first kiss. Over the years, many men wanted to kiss her, but they all returned without success. Today, she actually gave it to a student, and it was her own student. She regretted it. She regretted it so much. How could she be so stupid as to tutor him? Was her brain fried? She couldn't escape from Tang Zheng's clutches, and she couldn't escape from the tiger's den. She was still being molested by Tang Zheng. She didn't know that at this moment, Tang Zheng wasn't awake. He was just doing things according to instinct. He just wanted to absorb more pure yin energy, so of course, he would instinctively choose more intimate contact. The strong, pure yin energy entered his body, harmonizing his pure yang energy. The restless true qi calmed down little by little, and his body temperature was also decreasing. Lu Qingmei's body temperature was also decreasing. Her heart was cold. Could it be that she couldn't escape from his clutches today? However, she was not a person who accepted her fate. In the blink of an eye, she erupted like a volcano. Ha! A fierce slap landed on Tang Zheng's face. Immediately, 5 finger marks appeared on his face. However, Tang Zheng acted as if he didn't feel it. He actually used his tongue to pry open Lu Qingmei's pearly white teeth and went in. Lu Qingmei felt a little dizzy. The strong masculine aura hit her in the face, causing her heart to beat rapidly. A strange feeling arose in the depths of her heart. This feeling was very strange, causing her body to actually react. For a moment, she actually enjoyed this feeling a little, as if this feeling was not bad. Although Lu Qingmei was older than Tang Zheng, she was obviously not as skilled as him in this aspect. At the very least, he had practiced with Feng Shirshi several times. Therefore, Tang Zheng was like a fish that had returned to the sea. He constantly demanded. Unknowingly, a hand had already grabbed onto her upper body. Lu Qingmei's heartstrings trembled. She wanted to push him away, but she couldn't. Moreover, the long kiss made it difficult for her to breathe. Her eyes were blurred and her cheeks were red. Gradually, she lost consciousness and fainted. The sky turned white and a ray of light shone through the window onto the spacious bed. Tang Zheng opened his eyes in a daze. He felt comfortable all over. Wasn't I at Teacher Lu's house last night? Pure yang energy erupted. I don't remember what happened after that. Before he had time to think, he suddenly felt a delicate feeling in his palm. He was shocked. This was not a rough feeling that a man's skin should have. It must be a woman's delicate skin. He was shocked. He opened his eyes wide and finally saw clearly. A pair of graceful figures instantly jumped into his eyes, attracting all of his attention. His heart was beating so fast that it almost jumped out of his throat. His throat became dry, and he swallowed his saliva with difficulty. This body was really too beautiful. He still had a hand on it, and it felt incomparably wonderful. More importantly, the owner of this body was Lu Qingmei. Boom! His mind exploded, and his mind went blank. After a long time, he was shocked. What happened last night? Why did I do such a thing to her? What should I do next? What will she think of me? And suddenly, a soft and coquettish voice sounded out. And then, Tang Zheng watched as Lu Qingmei opened her eyes. Their eyes met, and then she also saw Tang Zheng's hand on her white skin. In that instant, her eyes were clearly a little dazed and a little dazed. But in the next second, she screamed and kicked Tang Zheng off the bed. Her face instantly turned red, and of course, her eyes were filled with endless murderous intent. Tang Zheng, you big pervert, I'm going to kill you. She gritted her teeth and frantically grabbed the blanket to cover the charming scene. Then, she hid under the blanket and looked at her body. Her clothes were not completely taken off, but the buttons of her shirt were completely unbuttoned. The parts that should not be exposed were also exposed. She hurriedly checked her lower body. Her pants were still on, but they were a little messy. She did not feel any discomfort in her body. Only then did she heave a sigh of relief. She was secretly glad that she was wearing pants and not a skirt. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, this was not an outcome that she could accept. Her body was violated by him. This was unforgivable. She secretly peeked half of her head out and looked at Tang Zheng, sitting on the floor. He seemed to be in a daze. Tang Zheng was indeed in a daze. Even if he had a lot of skills, this was the first time he faced this kind of situation. Moreover, he did not know what he did last night. Tian Chanzi, come out for me. What happened to me? Tang Zheng unhappily roared. Tian Chanzi laughed strangely and said, Brat, you finally remembered me. You took advantage of me and are still not satisfied. Why are you so angry? How can I not be angry? What happened last night? Your pure yang power erupted, your true qi boiled, and you fell into a semi-conscious state. Don't you know what you did? Tian Chanzi said mischievously. If I knew, would I still need to ask you? Actually, I'm not very clear. I only know that you hugged your teacher and then kept kissing her. Later, you directly carried her to the bed. I don't know what happened after that, because I followed the principle of not looking at indecent things. I hid myself. As for what happened, it was all your own doing. How would I know? Tian Chanzi was somewhat gloating. Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Of course, he knew that many people were drooling over Lu Qingmei's beauty. Tian Chanzi had also repeatedly urged him to take down Lu Qingmei. However, he had never put it into practice. He did not expect that this time so many things would happen with him by accident. He quickly looked at his body. Fortunately, his clothes were still there. This meant that he had not broken through the last step. However, the scene just now had already made things big. How was he going to end this? More importantly, how was Lu Qingmei going to end this? Was she going to accuse him of attempted rape? All of this could be said in this way. However, the key point was that he did not do it intentionally. In fact, he gradually understood that last night must have been a freak combination of factors. He was trying to absorb the pure yin power in her body. He was a little annoyed. Cultivating with a pure yang body was indeed twice the result with half the effort. However, the key point was that the side effects were too great. Lu Qingmei looked at him and did not say a word. It was as if he was the one who was wronged. The anger in her heart became even stronger. She angrily shouted, Tang Zheng, get out of here! Tang Zheng was frightened. He stood up and looked at the raging Lu Qingmei and said, Teacher Lu, shut up. Lu Qingmei angrily shouted, get out of here. Then I'll be in the living room. If you need anything, just call me. Tang Zheng did not have any plans to run away. Moreover, this kind of thing could be avoided for a while, but it could not be avoided forever. As a man, if he dares to do something, then he must be willing to admit it. He might as well throw caution to the wind. Whatever Lu Qingmei wanted to do to him, he would accept it. He hung his head and walked out, gently closing the door. Lu Qingmei crawled out from under the blankets. Her whole body was trembling. She lowered her head and looked at her body. She tried to recall what happened last night. However, she only remembered that Tang Zheng hugged her and kissed her. Then she suffocated and fainted. Her memories after that were blank. That beast with a human face. Lu Qingmei clenched her teeth. These words were practically squeezed out from between her teeth. She grabbed her clothes and wanted to take a shower to wash away the traces of Tang Zheng on her body. However, the bathroom was outside. Thus, she hurriedly put on her clothes and took a change of clothes out of the bedroom. Seeing Tang Zheng standing in the living room, she angrily shouted, "Get out of my house." "Teacher Liu, I'm sorry." Tang Zheng stammered. "Do you think an apology is enough? You know what you did. Don't think an apology is enough. Just you wait." "Teacher Liu, no matter how you punish me, I will not have any complaints," Tang Zheng declared. "You still dare to have complaints?" "I don't dare. Get out, get out. Just looking at you makes me annoyed." After Tang Zheng was kicked out, Lu Qingmei rushed into the bathroom. She allowed the warm water to pour down from the top of her head. It flowed through every part of her body. She continuously scrubbed, wanting to wash away the traces of Tang Zheng. At the same time, her mind gradually calmed down. This kind of thing happened. Blindly throwing a tantrum would not solve the problem. But how could she solve it? Call the police? She immediately rejected this idea. She did not want her embarrassing matter to be known by a third person. However, she could not just let it go. This was a crime. After she finished bathing, she wrapped a towel around her body. She looked at her beautiful face and mature body in the mirror. This was undoubtedly the most beautiful scenery. She never thought that a man would enjoy this kind of beauty. However, last night, she fell into Tang Zheng's demonic claws. Her anger once again surged. She tried to take a few deep breaths to suppress her anger. She quickly put on her clothes and walked to the door. She opened the door. Chapter 88. When Lu Qingmei opened the door and saw Tang Zheng, she discovered that he had a happy expression on his face. She immediately became angry, as he was indeed acting and had planned this for a long time. "Tang Zheng." She gnashed her teeth and roared out these two words. Tang Zheng was startled, and his face immediately froze. But no matter how one looked at it, he was trying to hide his happiness. "Teacher Liu, Before Tang Zheng could finish a sentence, he was interrupted by Lu Qingmei and coldly said, "Everything that happened last night was indeed an act by you. Consider me blind." "Teacher Liu, there was a problem with my body last night, which led to that matter. I did not do it on purpose." Tang Zheng quickly explained, as this misunderstanding was becoming bigger and bigger, and he had to explain it clearly. There was a problem with your body, but I saw that you were secretly happy. I really misjudged you. You are much more sinister than Song Donghua. You are so young, yet you are already so bad. How can you face your grandfather?" Lu Qingmei bitterly reprimanded. "Teacher Liu, I wasn't secretly happy just now." Tang Zheng defended himself. "I saw it clearly, so how could it be fake? Do you dare say that you were not smiling?" Tang Zheng was speechless, as he was indeed smiling. But it was not because he had taken advantage of Lu Qingmei. Instead, it was because he had gained too much from last night. His cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds, and he had reached the 4th grade refining qi. It must be known that before, he only had 3 inches and 4 parts of qi, but in one night, his qi had increased by 6 parts. It was simply a miracle. Even Tian Chanzi could not help but praise him, and even reminded him that this was all because of Lu Qingmei. This was the miraculous effect of the mysterious Yin body. He had also had intimate contact with Fang Shirshi, but it did not have such a large effect. Of course, this was also one of the reasons why he did not share a bed with Fang Shirshi the entire night. All in all, this time, not only did he take advantage of her body, the most important thing was that his cultivation had increased. Tian Chanzi incessantly urged him to just take advantage of Lu Qingmei, as that would allow him to directly break through to the 5th grade refining qi. He did not know whether to laugh or cry, as he did not even know how to clean up this mess. If he still wanted to take advantage of Lu Qingmei, then he would most likely be sent to prison. Tian Chanzi reprimanded him for being a coward and said that he would just run away. The most important thing was that his cultivation would increase quickly. This was too tempting for a cultivator. It must be known that if a normal cultivator had a shortcut to break through, then they would most likely kill and rob others. How could they be as long-winded as him? Tang Zheng was not bewitched by him, and Tian Chanzi could not do anything about it. However, he was secretly very pleased with himself, because this time, Tang Zheng's pure yang energy did not erupt without warning. The experienced and knowledgeable Tian Chanzi had already discovered this point, but he did not tell him. Instead, he allowed the pure yang energy to erupt at the most crucial moment last night, which allowed him to absorb Lu Qingmei's pure yin energy by accident. As a result, all of this was single-handedly facilitated by the Heaven Monk, because he needed Tang Zheng to become stronger, so that his divine soul would become stronger. Now, his divine soul was much stronger than before. However, all of this was kept in the dark about Tang Zheng. If he were to find out, who knows what he would think. He would definitely curse Tian Chanzi for being despicable. You don't have anything to say, right? Lu Qingmei saw that he was speechless and jokingly said, Teacher Lu, I was cultivating so something went wrong. Last night, I was really in a semi-conscious state. I did not remember what I did, but I will not deny it. Tang Zheng took a deep breath and decided to explain himself. It was up to her whether she believed him or not. Lu Qingmei wrinkled her eyebrows. Seeing his sincere expression, she suspiciously thought, is what he said true or false? I know he was cultivating, but how could there be this kind of situation when cultivating? That's not right. If he really wanted to do something to me, then why didn't he break through the last step? This was what she was most suspicious about. If Tang Zheng really wanted to take advantage of her, then why did he give up halfway and not completely take her? Although there were many suspicious points, she did not immediately believe his words. Instead, she made an expression of disbelief. Then what does Teacher Lu plan to do? No matter what punishment, I will not complain. Seeing that everything was useless, Tang Zheng instead said, What do you plan to do? Lu Qingmei's eyebrows wrinkled. To be honest, she also did not know what to do. However, being taken advantage of by her own student, she definitely could not swallow this resentment. Tang Zheng, this matter cannot be known by a third party. If I hear about what happened last night from other people, then I will definitely not let you go. Lu Qingmei declared first. Tang Zheng hurriedly nodded and said, Teacher Lu, don't worry. I will definitely not say anything. This matter is between you and me. There will definitely not be a third party that will know. Lu Qingmei nodded. She also believed that Tang Zheng would not dare to speak carelessly. As for how to punish you, I will have to think about it carefully. Lu Qingmei said. Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. As long as she did not directly take him to the police station, then this matter could still be resolved. Thank you, Teacher Lu. Let me know when you've thought about it. Then, Teacher Lu, can I not come and make up lessons in the future? Tang Zheng carefully asked. After this matter, Lu Qingmei probably did not want to see him again. As expected, Lu Qingmei nodded. The two of them had a teacher-student relationship. After this matter, she really did not know how to get along with him. Moreover, if something like this were to happen again, then she would be at a disadvantage. Tang Zheng was secretly delighted. This way, he would not reveal too many flaws. Lu Qingmei stared at him without blinking. Seeing the corners of his mouth curl up, her heart moved. She immediately guessed what he was thinking and immediately said, Tang Zheng, you must bring out your true standard in this month's exam. Otherwise, you will suffer. What? Tang Zheng was shocked. I'm telling you to stop pretending to be stupid and bring out your true ability. Lu Qingmei decisively said. Tang Zheng said with a bitter face, Teacher Lu, last month's exam was my true standard. You think I will believe a mouth full of lies? In short, if you do not get first place in the school this time, then you just wait. You have bad intentions toward your teacher. If your grandfather were to find out about this, you can imagine what the consequences would be. Tang Zheng was frightened. If his grandfather were to find out about this, it would be strange if he did not break his legs. The key point was that he would be heartbroken. Tang Zheng had no other choice. He could only nod and say, Then I will do my best. Lu Qingmei finally saw his dejected appearance. She proudly pursed her lips and smiled. Her anger was finally diluted by quite a bit as she said, In any case, I only look at the results. You can leave. After she finished speaking, she slammed the door shut. She leaned against the door with a trace of smile on her face. Little guy, this time you can no longer hide your strength. From Tang Zheng's reaction, she confirmed her previous guess. He really had been hiding his strength the entire time, although she did not know why he did so. She lightly patted her face and said to herself, Lu Qingmei, last night's matter was just a dream. Don't think about it anymore. Forget about it. However, in the future, I will use this matter to threaten this brat. Trying to play smart with me. In reality, Lu Qingmei was a prideful person deep down in her bones. She was also a calm person. Although she suffered a loss and was of course angry, once she calmed down, she knew that she could not do anything to Tang Zheng because of this matter. The key point was that she subconsciously believed Tang Zheng's explanation. In addition, he still had his grandfather. If something happened to him, then what would the old man do? In short, Lu Qingmei, who had never suffered a loss before, suffered a loss in the hands of Tang Zheng for the first time. Moreover, it was not a small loss. Tang Zheng went downstairs uneasily. Looking at the sunlight shining from the horizon, his eyes were also plated with a layer of gold. He did not close his eyes. Instead, he forced himself to open his eyes wide. He roared, dispelling the dark clouds in his heart, and said, This result is already the best. I don't want to think about it anymore. Now, I need to work hard on my education and practice martial arts. But when he thought about practicing martial arts, his heart began to beat like a drum. His strength was increasing too quickly. The pure yin energy was not enough. This was too dangerous. There would not be such a good opportunity next time. If he really exploded and died, then it would be a great loss. He walked straight to Tang Zheng's school. But then his phone rang. It turned out that it was a call from his grandfather. The old man was worried when he did not see him come home last night. Tang Zheng hurriedly explained that he had stayed at his teacher's house to make up lessons. Thus, he had stayed at his teacher's house to rest. The old man did not think too much of it and told him to study hard and repay his teacher's kindness. Tang Zheng walked while talking on the phone. He did not notice that there was a car not far away. Song Donghua's face was gloomy as he stared at Tang Zheng's back. Bang! He slammed his fist on the steering wheel and hatefully said to himself, Despicable. He actually stayed at Lu Qingmei's house for the night. Did anything happen between the two of them last night? No wonder Lu Qingmei is so good to him. We'll make up lessons. I think it's more like an affair. Yesterday, he originally wanted to lure Tang Zheng with benefits and make him his spy. He never thought that after waiting for an entire night, he would not see Tang Zheng come downstairs. He burned with anger and wanted to rush up and catch them in the act. But he did not do so because he did not have a right to do so. Originally, he still had some respect for Lu Qingmei's cold arrogance. But ever since he confirmed the affair between Tang Zheng and Lu Qingmei, he did not have much respect for her. What was there to respect about a teacher who could get together with her own student? Of course, he would not be so stupid as to retreat and give up. Instead, he would pursue her even more fiercely because he believed that this would give him a better chance. But this was not admiration. It was purely because of Lu Qingmei's background. But as a man, after discovering this fact, he could not do nothing. He might not be able to touch Lu Qingmei, but how could he not deal with a student? Thus, all of his anger was directed at Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng did not know that he was being hated by others. At this moment, he was being looked at strangely by the strange gazes of others. The students who came and went were all pointing at him, whispering and snickering at the same time. These people are really annoying. They must have spread the news of yesterday's matter. He quickly walked into the classroom, and the originally noisy classroom immediately quieted down. Almost everyone was quiet as they stared at him as if they were looking at a mirror. Not long after, bursts of laughter rang out. Some people were laughing so hard that they were about to cry. Tang Zheng did not even look at them and secretly cursed them for being crazy. He walked straight to his seat, but was stopped by Feng Yong. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.